Hi there, listeners. Alex Schmitz here. Before you start listening to this episode of Shred Cels, I just wanted to mention one little technical issue we had while recording the podcast. We did a song renditioning of the opening of Gurren Lagann to open the podcast, which was a ton of fun. But unfortunately, I did a poor job with the sound mixing. So one of the cast members is way louder than everyone else, and it sort of ruins the piece just a little bit. So I apologize for the poor sound quality on the opening, but the rest of the podcast was done perfectly okay. So you can listen to the rest of it and enjoy your good Anohana discussion that you came here to listen to. So once again, sorry about the poor quality of the Gurren Lagann opening, and I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Kimi wa kaikaukaru boku no kono negai wa yama ni mukurashiku tsuimaru moshi mo shikaga no imi wo morara kyome no kono yo ude wa udani no songo Yes, you may so very finale day. The Yukiatsu Omega no como Mudio se toya yoga. Oh God, so the snake and the sun, Okunaru no Katani wa soro.
Woo!
Touchdown!
Yeah. And with that, we open up Shredded Cels episode 30.
Who the hell do you think we are?
Woo! I'm your host, Alex Schmitz. With me here today is Matt Lunn, Clara Heimberger,
Hey.
Gretchen Snyder,
Hey.
and guest singers Andrew Gleason and Kenneth McNulty.
Woo! I'm singer number 2.
Yes, unfortunately, these two did not finish the show for this week
Get out of
on
here!
Ohana, but they want to be here for this spectacular music.
It's because we love you guys
We like Gurren Lagann.
That's true.
a lot.
Yeah, it's a great opening. I love that song. It's actually, for those who are interested, it's actually called Sorairo Days by Nakagawa Shoko. So
You should give it to Clara next time. I bet she
Okay,
pronounces
yeah,
it
we
better.
Yeah.
make it sound a little more professional.
I can try my best.
Cool. All right, so are you gentlemen leaving us then?
Godspeed.
Good luck.
Aww.
All right, so long.
Get out of here.
We have a special place in our hearts.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
We are.
All right,
Live
goodbye,
long
guys.
and prosper. Johnny.
All right. Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Bye.
Adios.
Very cool.
We knew them well.
Yes. Before they
Laptop back.
sure, why not?
Lucky.
Yes. We definitely did that all by memory. No laptops were involved in the making of that song.
Yeah, we're professionals.
Yes, we
here.
all speak Japanese.
I was using it to check the Facebook I don't have.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Such a good, no, you were using it to check Twitter because you actually have one of those.
Well, yes, I have a Twitter.
That's weird.
I only use it for my phone, though, so.
Only from a
Okay.
phone.
So, for those of you who are listening to us who are a little confused about, like, well, who are these people who are talking
They're
to
just
me?
a bunch of weirdos that just go, oh, look, anime! Can we watch some anime?
We are the Breakfast
Just a
Club.
bunch of nerds.
That's not too far from the truth.
Oh, I'm
We-
glad I hit it right on the spot.
we love singing our anime openings like we did for Soul Eater several episodes
That
ago.
was the first one I was on.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was for...
And everyone freaked out because Mark didn't have a beard, and I didn't know what was going on.
That's right, because that was the Full Metal Alchemist podcast. That was the first one of this year.
No, it was Clara,
So long
wasn't it?
ago.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Clara.
Clara.
Episode 13.
Oh, maybe it was.
Why do I remember this, Alex?
You know it better than Alex does.
I see. Well, I thought that you would have been on the first podcast of the year because you joined the show pretty early, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll
That
go
was the
back.
first one I
I'll
was
go back
on.
and listen because we got iTunes
Because
and I
I
got all the
videotaped
podcasts.
it. I videotaped
Ah,
you
that's
guys.
right. I still have that somewhere on my computer. But that's beside the point. We are part of TechEds, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We here at TechEds do all sorts of cool stuff with anime, movies, TV shows, video games. We got podcasts. We got videos on YouTube. We've got a blog.
We're hysterical.
Yeah, we got all sorts of awesome stuff. But here we are today. We are here to talk about anime, specifically
What's anime?
I know. As I mentioned earlier, Anohana, which is a 2011 show produced by A1 Pictures.
Yep.
Yep. Who also did Sword Art Online, a show we did a few episodes ago. One of Matt's favorites.
Hey, they also do Blue Exorcist, and they also do Big Wind Up. Just saying.
Really?
Their animation, don't get me wrong, the animation in Sword Art is beautiful.
Yes,
It's
it
like
is.
beautiful.
It is, and I like it.
I'm gonna finish that
Hooray.
one.
You never finished Sword Art Online?
No.
Don't.
Yes.
Don't.
Yes. I am your super ego. Listen to me.
I'm the better ego.
No,
Don't.
he's the id. Don't listen to him.
The id. Oh, I see where this is
Alex
going.
is the ego. He's just neutral.
Yeah, no, sort of. It's a show worth watching, but it is. The problem is, I was actually thinking about that today because A1 Pictures did this show, and then A1 Pictures did Sword Art Online. If they had the writing staff from Anohana on Sword Art Online, and they were actually able to go in there and actually make a good story with like legitimate relationships and unique characters and everything, and they combine that with the awesome action and fantasy stuff of the Sword Art Online already does have, it could have been one of the best shows ever. Like it had the potential to be
Ever.
great.
But no.
Unfortunately not.
No.
That's all right. Did I blow an eardrum there?
A little bit.
I'm
I
sorry.
turned you down a little bit.
Thank you.
You will do.
so loud.
You're so loud.
But before we get into our discussion on Anohana, we should talk about the animation we've watched since last
Oh
time.
yes, you have a lot.
Gretchen, how about
Oh.
you?
I don't think I've been on since like before spring break, but I
Oh.
did end up finishing Madoka, which was fantastic.
What'd you think of that?
I love the ending.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty perfect.
Yeah.
And what else have I seen? I started watching Wolf's Rain again.
Oh, have
I
you
hadn't
seen that?
finished it. I had only seen I started watching it in 8th grade, maybe watched 10 to 15 episodes, and I started again because it had been so long, and hopefully I'll
That's
finish
it.
that one soon.
That's a good one. I mean, it's
My friend always
interesting.
talks about the end, so I'm curious
Yeah,
to finish it.
I spoiled myself a bit on what happens at the end. It's
The ending.
interesting.
It's sad, Clara, so not recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wreck-It
Yeah.
Ralph, I saw that 3 times in a week.
Wreck-It Ralph's
It's
amazing.
the best.
It's so good.
Although now I'm just thinking, so you've watched Madoka Magica, which is sort of a bummer ending, Anohana, which is sort of a bummer ending, and then you're watching Wolf's Rain, which really has a bummer ending.
Yeah,
Hey, negativity.
She's got
I
3
like
Wreck-It
it.
Ralphs to balance it out, though.
Yes.
That's
It-
true.
makes up for all of it.
Well, you think Wreck-It Ralph's going to have a bummer ending, and then it.
I
of
didn't
course-
expect to get as emotionally invested in that movie as I did.
I know. It was.
Yep.
It was
So
like, oh
great.
man, my heart
My heart can't take this.
teared up a little bit. Just a little bit.
All right. Anything else, Gretchen?
I think that's about it.
All right. As for myself, I've actually watched quite a bit since last time. I finished Ouran High School Host Club, which I mentioned last
Yay.
week. I actually really enjoyed the show. Probably one of the funniest anime I've ever watched. Comparing it to Toradora, which was another sort of romantic comedy sort of show that I watched recently. I think overall Ouran was a funnier show, but I definitely think Toradora did a better job with the relationships and the drama because Ouran, they have it here and there, and at the end, it gets kind of dark and dramatic, but really it's more about the comedy, and the characters' relationships.
It's
and
another
things.
Bones title.
Oh, Bones does that?
Yeah, Bones did Oron.
Okay. Yeah, well, they're a great studio. I mean, they did,
Soul Eater, Full Metals.
yeah, both Full Metals. So that already makes them one of my favorites since I love Brotherhood so much. I also finished the show, I mentioned this before, The Unlimited Hyobo Kyosuke, which was a 2012 show I started watching a while ago, was getting into it. And I finished it up, and it's a 12-episode series. I think it just finished up a week ago, pretty recently. But it was good overall. It had moments of greatness in it, especially episode 9, I think it was the big wham episode, where stuff gets real. So that was really good, and there were some great moments and cool characters and stuff, and it was nice to see a action show, amongst all of the moe and slice
What
of
was it called
life
again?
stuff. The Unlimited Hyobo Kyosuke is what it was called. It's available to watch on Crunchyroll, which is cool. Unfortunately, the last 2 episodes, I gotta believe that they thought they had more than 12 episodes because the last two feel really rushed. And the episode 11 has probably the worst case of stormtrooper syndrome I've ever seen.
Man.
Like the two main characters are completely surrounded by all these robots and guards and things. They literally have like a 2-minute conversation talking to each other, and while the guards are just sitting there patiently not shooting at them.
Hold on, we have to wait for them to finish.
Exactly.
Just don't interrupt them.
I mean that's there throughout anime, but this one was particularly bad.
Oh my.
And but still, so overall, it was still a good show. The ending definitely felt.
What would you
rushed,
get it out
though.
of 10?
Probably like a 7,
Okay.
I'd say.
So good.
Yep, it was a good show. And then there was one other thing I watched. The season 3 of Shakugan no Shana, which I've talked about before. The English dub of it was apparently released recently, so you can go get it on Blu-ray, DVD. It's also up on iTunes. I think you can get the entire 25-episode series in HD for $50. So if you like that show, not a bad idea.
$2 a show.
Indeed. When normally to get the HD
job,
episodes,
Clara.
it's 3.
I can math.
3?
You can
Yeah.
math it.
I can math.
But I decided to buy. I had like $3 left of my iTunes credit, so I bought the last episode and rewatching it, I sort of had to realize like, man, this is actually a damn good last episode. You know, unlike Unlimited Hyobu Kyosuke. Japanese names are hard, but it was actually.
They only have nice things to say about you.
So let's redub them like 4Kids and change it from like Ryoko to like Rachel.
Yeah.
that works.
They did that with Bleach and Orihime's friend. It drove me crazy.
Really?
Oh, they didn't bleach.
Yeah, like the English dub mushes her name all together, and
Oh.
it's weird. I don't remember her name. I think it starts with a T, but I don't remember.
I don't know. There's so many characters in Bleach. I can't keep track of all the names.
Too many.
And once again, they
Too
have
long,
they have
too.
very Japanesey names, which makes it kind of tough. Whereas like in One Piece, you know,
Now One
they're-
Piece isn't too long.
well,
That's only
God.
589
and they-
episodes.
One Piece has tons of characters too,
Hush.
but like you know, it doesn't have as many Japanesey names, so they're a bit easier to
Falcon
recall.
Punch.
So yeah, I watched that, and obviously Anohana. So that was my week. Matt.
I have been watching no anime because I am on anime burnout, which is
Sad.
yeah, it's sad. Just I can't see it. I watch it, I'm like, no,
No.
I'm not
Just
feeling. No,
Man.
I'm
So-
watching Person of Interest though, which is a not anime show at all. It's a kind of crime. It's like Psychopaths with a computer that watches people, and it's about take your like classic CSI show, but mix it with the computer thing, and I love it. So that's what I'm watching with my time.
Very cool. So are you sort of waiting for that new show to come out? You know, that everybody starts raving about to like get your anime fire reinvigorated.
Yeah, I need one of those. I really need a good show that just kind of is just like, wow, remind me why I like anime. Just
Yeah.
like,
Well, you should give Unlimited Hyobu Kyosuke a try at least. You know, the first couple episodes. Get to episode 4 at least, because episode 4 had some really awesome action in it.
okay.
I would recommend.
But no,
Sailor Moon's being remade.
yep,
yeah,
the 5th season thing, I think.
Really? So like, is it the same story and everything, just with redone animation?
I
Who
think so.
maybe
I don't
it's
actually know a
Toei.
lot about it.
I see.
Toei's
Well,
pulling behind it, so they're gonna make.
I'm not gonna watch it either way. So
They already know it's the cash cow, and they're just waiting to drop it upon America, where it's like we can make money, endless amounts of money, because that's what
All the
Toei's gonna
money.
I
do.
think it's coming out this summer.
But no, I'm about to play the original Borderlands, so that's video game
Ooh,
related.
yeah.
I've never played Borderlands at all. So
Borderlands. Well,
Good stuff.
it's better to play cooperatively. You
Yeah,
got to find some friends
definitely.
to go through it with you.
Find some
Okay.
friends, Matt.
Get friends,
Yeah,
Matt. Come on.
I don't know any friends.
All I do is watch anime all day.
Thanks. Wow. taking a step down there. But hey, I did get my limited edition Pikachu XL, so
Oh, your 3DS
So did
XL.
3DS.
Mark.
yes, I know he did, and he got Luigi's Mansion.
That's right.
Smart
Now
guy.
tell me, was it worth going early in the morning just to
Yes.
guarantee your
to get my I had to wake up
XL.
at 6 a.m. on Sunday.
I
And then
applaud
leave
you. Is that
at
like
7 a.m.
Target or something?
Target up in Lancaster, about a 45-minute drive.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have it on you?
Yes, it's right over there.
Oh my gosh. Is
pull it
it
out.
on sleep mode?
You can pull it on. It's not on sleep mode right now.
Where
it's right
is
there.
it?
It's the red bag. See the
It's red
bag?
bag? I see
It's
it.
in there.
This is great podcast talk.
Oh, it is
everyone.
great podcast. And guys, if you look at visually how the Pikachu looks, it's a very bright yellow. If you never knew that.
So I just want to street pass with you so you show up on my...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll turn it on then.
Yeah.
I just turned it on.
Clara,
I
why
don't
don't,
work,
why don't
man.
you tell us what you've been watching?
Well, I brought back with me Pokemon Heroes, and I made everyone in the lobby watch it with me and James because
yeah?
I'm that
Oh, you have it?
influential.
Where do you have it?
It's in my room. It's on my
You
it's
have
on
to
my
watch that for the next episode.
it's on my desk
I'm
thing, taking up a
considering
lot
it
of space.
Next episode.
Thanks for inputting your opinion, Matt.
And then related to Pokemon, I downloaded on my 3DS a demo of Mystery Dungeon, the new one that recently came out, I think. It's cute. I might get the real game. It's adorbs. And with the whole Anohana, the ending made me sad. So to combat that sadness, I watched sadder things. So I found the saddest moments of Clannad, and I found two music videos I really like about it. One is with Show Me What I'm Looking For by Carolina Liar, and Terrible Things by Mayday Parade. It was a terrible idea to watch because I was very sad afterwards, and I just had to like eat something because I was so
Torture.
sad.
What made you think that, oh, I'm feeling really sad after watching Anohana, I'm going to get it fixed by watching more sad
Because
things?
then I get all the sad out, and I won't have leftover sad, and I'll be so exhausted I'll just fall asleep. That's my train of thought.
I'm so sad. I'm
That's
just gonna
how it
fall
works,
asleep.
huh?
I don't know who that guy is, Matt. He appeared on mine too.
Okay, creepy.
His name's Ezio, and I don't know who he is, but he's on my Street Pass too. I think I got
So-
him when I was in Baker.
So there's somebody with a 3DS
Someone
in
in
Baker.
We must go find them
with
and destroy them.
hair and a beard.
It reminds me of Mark. I'm like, oh, it's Mark. And it's like, this isn't Mark.
This is a lie. Imposter.
I know them. I keep seeing this guy that looks like Mark, and I always want to like say hi, but then it's not Mark.
That's the worst. Like occasionally I'll see someone and I think they're someone I know and I go to say like, oh hey, and then you realize as you walk towards them it's not the person you thought they
I mean,
were.
like you slyly like scratch your head, like oh, I wasn't
It's like,
leaving.
oh,
Oh, this is a sidetrack, but I wanted to bring it up.
We like
'cause,
sidetracking.
Woot.
The site I was watching Anohana on is one of those stupid sites where they have the same ad play over and over.
Oh my
and
god,
over.
yes, I wanted to die.
was it Monster Hunter?
Well,
Yes.
that was on Crunchyroll, and
Well,
that was
yeah.
annoying. But then, as I talked about on Trello, unfortunately, Crunchyroll only had like the first 3 or 4 episodes available for free, and then you had to become a member in order to
which is
watch the
dumb.
rest. Which I guess that's how they get you, force you to become a member after you're invested in their show, which is a pretty
Tricky.
diabolical but effective strategy.
Diabolic.
Except that you can go online and watch Anohana in less scrupulous methods. But what's done?
What? What?
No, we don't do that.
We don't do that.
course
Everything
not.
here is safe and friendly.
And legal.
Can we smile? Let's all smile and let
Legal
the viewers
things.
know that
Yes.
everything is.
We're all smiling. Trust me. Because you'll never know the truth, will you?
Wait.
But I was on the site I was watching it on. It just had a bunch of Chuck E. Cheese commercials over and over
Oh my
again.
god, I'm so sorry.
Well, I love how you find this so funny, man. What? So, did you guys know that they've redesigned the
Chucky.
Chucky?
Yeah.
The main
He's
character.
creepier now.
Chucky?
Yeah,
He's been
well,
redesigned.
You know how it was always the 2D drawing of like the mouse,
Yeah.
and that was the logo. Now it's like a 3D computer generated, like realistic looking
Yeah, you
mouse.
can't change Chucky.
Yeah, it kind of disturbed me. So that's completely unrelated to anime, but it was while I was watching Ohana, so I guess it works. All right. So now that we've gone through the animation we've watched since last time, we can move on to the main topic of discussion, which is Anohana, as we've mentioned. It's actually called Anohana, the Flower We Saw That Day. Although I saw the people who are doing a more direct translation from the Japanese title said it's supposed to be Anohana. We still don't know the name of the flower we saw that day. But that sounds a little bit too long.
too much.
So they shortened it down for us, thankfully.
they?
Fun fact I learned while I was looking on Wikipedia for this, there's actually a movie coming out
What?
this summer in Japan.
Of
It's-
Anohana.
Yep, it's
August 31st, I think.
it's a retelling of the story from Menma's perspective. Apparently.
So it is different.
Yes,
Oh, that's
it's
exciting.
not.
Sweet. I'm gonna instantly buy.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be some footage from the show, but it sounds like it's going to be.
Wait, so
at
it's
least
going to
somewhat
be
different.
a while till it's subbed then?
not necessarily. There are ways to get it.
No worries. Matt knows the back avenues.
But, yeah,
of
we
the
don't do
internet.
that here, so.
We never do that here.
Of course not.
Never ever.
Never, never, ever. Are you guys just gonna play 3DS the whole
No,
podcast?
we are not.
No.
I have things to talk about with this Anohana stuff.
That's right. Well, you're the one who was actually advocating for us to do it because you'd seen it before all the rest of us.
I know, and I loved it. This is the series. Okay, I torrented at home. I used the bad word there. Used the T word.
How could you, Matt?
He means
I watched it. No. I can defend myself. I watched it and I loved it. Like after I finished it, it's like I have Christmas money, right? $50 sold, done. I'm never going to pay $50 for 13 episodes again. But this was the 13.
It's only 11 episodes.
Okay, 11 episodes for $50. The
Dang.
point is, I loved this.
That's almost
series.
$5 per episode.
You also get this really nice hardback book, and it was a really nice hardcover. Like it was a really nice DVD and Blu-ray thing. So
that's kinda
it
cool.
looks really nice on the
Wait,
shelf.
so are you saying it comes with like an art book?
Yeah, it comes with an
Okay,
art
that's
book.
kinda cool.
So it was like it was worth the Munmuns and the
Oh,
Munmuns.
Kane-chan.
Oh, jeez.
So yes, I loved this series, and there's several reasons why I love it. Just because Moe is just I don't know. There's a reason for her to be that young. It's not
Yes.
like let's just do high school.
That was one thing I found kind of interesting with Menma, being resurrected as a ghost or whatever. Because she's obviously older than she was when she was a little kid, but she doesn't seem as old as the rest of them. So it seems like if they're in high school, she's like middle school age.
She doesn't
That or
act
she's
older.
maybe like just a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I thought was weird is like when I forget his name.
What, the main character?
Shinta? Or
Jinta. Jintan,
Jintan. Yeah,
which is his
Jintan.
nickname. I don't know his.
Jintan.
It's like
Sorry, Alex.
it's
it doesn't like me.
what's his
Maybe if
name?
you would turn
Yadomi.
my mic up since you
Well,
turned
Yadomi
it
was
down.
his last
Yadomi,
name. Apparently his real name is just Jinta, but everyone called him Jintan. Jintan.
It's cuter.
Yes.
Jintan.
Yeah. Actually, apparently all of them had like nicknames like
Aranu.
yeah, well, like Yukiatsu, he had a different name. Like maybe it was his first or his last name, and nobody referred to him by his last name like ever.
Oh, and there's like Popo.
Yeah, and
or
Popo
whatever.
actually had a real
I
name,
love
but no one
Popo.
called him by his real name.
Yeah, no one
I
calls
like that
Popo.
name.
Popo's better. Is it
Like Mr. Popo.
Mr.
He's-
Popo?
He's
Mr.
just so
Popo.
goofy, it works.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes.
I'm in preschool now with my mic, obviously.
Well,
I need to talk louder.
well, thanks for
Can I
that.
spike your mic?
Yes,
I'll
you
spike
did.
your mic always, Alex.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
I feel very violated right now. But yeah, I figured let's just start with what we thought of the first episode and the whole premise. One thing I definitely want to mention, I really like the opening to this show. I think it's one of the best openings I've seen as far as communicating what the story is, in that like minute 30-second time frame. Because basically you could watch that and pretty much figure out, oh, this is what's going on. This is what the show is about.
He's cute.
And
The song was
it's
fun.
very cute. Yeah, it's a good song. I like the ending song as
It's in my
well.
head now.
The ending animation wasn't, that amazing.
Yeah, the
But-
one thing I liked about the ending, if anyone watched it, like they would come in on it at different times and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it was still beautifully animated, but the opening theme, like, it's this catchy little tune that just grabs you. Like, that is a song that I can just listen to over and over.
We did listen to it over and over.
Yeah.
That's what you need in an anime because you're gonna have to listen to it
If
every
you want it,
time.
I
so-
have
Well, or you skip it.
well,
You wouldn't
Usually skip the ending
would
song.
you?
Yeah. And to be fair, like I said, I like the ending song. Animation there wasn't the most interesting just because it was a little bit simple. But I do really love the moment every time where it gets that point right before the refrain and like the song drops off and the flowers freeze in the air and then they turn colorful and start going up. That was pretty cool. So I like that part. I have to say, in the first episode, Menma really kind of annoyed me. Like, she was doing all these cutesy things and like bothering Jintan. And
Yeah, the only problem I can say that I have from this anime and looking at it from and I saw it in AMV is when she's sitting on his lap and she's just like
oh, that was
it's just
weird.
like
yeah, that was
I'm like, okay, whoa, you didn't do this. Okay, great, you didn't do this anymore. So you're not making any weird perverted things. Yay, anime.
Yeah.
I
I think it was to establish how uncomfortable it was that she was there.
yeah.
Like, to him specifically.
a little bit. And the other thing that I think I got away with, like the whole love stories, it's like this is the girl from kindergarten, like 12 years ago that you used to like, and you have these these memories that have faded away, and now she's back. So how are you supposed to feel about that?
Right. Well, he keeps on calling her the summer beast, and he thinks she's an illusion, like that he's going crazy, basically.
Exactly.
Because he's a what's it called? Nika, the term from Welcome to the NHK, like the
hikikomori.
Hikikomori. Thank you. That's basically what he
Hikikomori,
is.
yes, he is.
Which is a whole societal issue in Japan about these like teenagers who just stay at home and like play video games and don't interact with society at all. That's
Is it
basically
like legal for them to just skip school all the time?
well, they don't have to go to school by law.
Because I feel like that always happens. People are in animes just like
It's cool.
don't stop
Skip
going to
Yu-Gi-Oh.
school.
Yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh's the worst defender of that. And they make fun of it in the Bridge series all the time, which I love. But yeah, it is interesting because, it's a bit of a shock to the audience in that first episode seeing Jintan as this guy who's a hikikomori, completely antisocial, like apparently hasn't gone to school in months. And
I love
you were
his
like,
dad. You remember
Yeah.
his dad?
Yeah.
His dad is all like,
yeah,
Everything is kawaii.
yes, kawaii.
yeah, I don't know. The kawaii joke got old for me pretty quick, but I did like the dad just because of how like chill he was. Like he was the most laid back dad ever.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. How else would you be? Like, would you be all in your son's business when your wife / his mom died away? I don't know. Like,
Well, yeah, but this is years later, and it's not like his mom died and he stopped going to school. Like this was only like the first trimester of that school year or whatever. So it was relatively recently. Trying to think about what else. I don't know. What were your guys' impressions upon watching that first episode?
I
I
loved
mean-
his dad.
Okay, love the dad.
loved the dad. Loved the opening. The point is, the first episode. This series is something I wish I had just watched all in one day. I watched it in 2 days. I watched it like I watched 6 episodes and then 5 episodes in one sitting,
Right.
and I loved it.
You loved it. Yeah. I suppose the whole concept of the show isn't exactly the most original because like a lot of shows have things with people who have died that are somehow
Or like
back.
wishes that have to be granted and like trying
Exactly.
to figure out.
Like I was, especially as it was
Want to make
approaching,
a contract?
especially as this was approaching the end, I kept on thinking of Angel Beats because the ending of this show is almost identical to Angel Beats' ending, and
Oh, that's what I kept thinking of because I was like, this reminds me of some show and I can't remember.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was it. And when a lot of people talk about like super sad anime, they talk about this show on Anohana, Angel Beats, and Clannad After Story, and then there's like Madoka Magica is pretty sad too, but not in the same way that these shows are. Like those shows are sort of like they're designed to make you sad. Like that's their whole purpose almost.
I mean,
Let's see how much of an emotional reaction we can get out of these people.
Pretty much. You can probably guess from the first episode and when the first time they mention, I've got this wish that I want to be granted, when you realize, oh, that's the hook for the show. Well, it's like, episode's 11 probably going to be them granting her wish and then her, disappearing, going to heaven, whatever the term may be, and that's pretty much what happens. But it's what happens in between that time, the twists and turns the plot takes and you getting to know these characters that makes it so heart-wrenching when they finally do pull the plug on episode 11 and you're all sad and all the manly tears are flowing.
all the manly tears.
I definitely don't think it could have been any longer. I would have been annoyed at it like dragging on.
I think it could have gone longer, but I felt like it was pretty well paced. Like
The
Yeah.
last episode, or I think it was either the last episode or the episode to last. It was the whole cry fest. That was the only.
So much.
well, that was
That
episode
was
11.
obnoxious.
So that
My roommate was
that did
like,
bother you guys?
Everyone's yelling. What are you watching?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with it though, like I really couldn't see you making a 12th episode just to handle that, because then it would have felt really off pace.
No, I'm not saying they should have added an episode after 11, but I'm saying they could have added another episode in there somewhere and made it a 12 episode series overall.
Yeah, but not much longer than that. That's what.
Yeah.
I guess I was trying to say.
I agree. It was well paced. It did, unlike the Unlimited Hubo Kosuke. It didn't feel like it was rushed or anything like that. It was just developing at a steady pace the whole time, which I did enjoy. I figured instead of going by like episode by episode like we've done with some shows in the past, since some episodes a lot of stuff happens and others really not that much. But we'll just go through like the characters and talk about like what we liked about the characters and our favorite moments with them and such.
That's fair enough.
And I figure let's start with
Yukiatsu's a butt.
with Clara's favorite
Yeah.
character, Yukiatsu, who I also agree. I really did not like him at all, like throughout almost the entirety of the show.
No one liked him.
He does have some sympathetic moments, like when he pleads with the dad, like, please help us get these fireworks. This is really important to me. He has moments where he shows how much he cares for Menma, and
I think he was doing it to spite Yarumi.
well, but Yadami wasn't around when he was confessing to the dad.
He was doing it to be like, I'm one-upping you.
Yeah.
And his cross-dressing thing
Ugh.
Yeah.
in the woods is
Such a
like,
weirdo.
what?
Yeah, well, when you see him grabbing the hair and like sniffing it and hugging it,
Every
that
time
was
he has the
like-
wig, it like freaks me out.
Well, it's kind of supposed to, I think. I did sort of like, though, because I was thinking about this while I was like prepping my show notes for the podcast. Really, Yukiatsu is a foil for
Yarumi?
for Yadami in a lot of ways, because both of them loved Menma. Both of them can't really let go of the past. But whereas like Jintan makes it pretty obvious, and like he doesn't go to school, he's this sort of social outcast. He makes it pretty obvious. Whereas what's his name, Yukiatsu, bottles it up. And on the outside he seems like the perfect student. He's super smart. All these girls like him and stuff. But on the inside, he's holding this hatred and longing for the past, and for Menma and everything, and that sort of makes him a little crazy.
But that's what I like about all these characters. Like the very beginning, it's sad just because like even though Menma, just goes away, bye. But the point is, at the very beginning, it's like I like the whole story idea of it's like as a group of friends that as kids they were really tight and whatever, and over the years they have now completely gone their own paths. Even the ones that actually enjoy each other's company, they don't hang out anymore. They're just like, nope, nothing. I don't want to deal with you.
Bye.
And it takes a dead girl's ghost to bring a friendship back.
Oh,
So cute.
I think it's cute.
yes,
Kawaii.
kawaii.
But then when things aren't kawaii, kawaii janai.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the relationship between Yukiatsu and, I keep forgetting her name. Was it Tsuruko? Something like that?
Suruko. Naru. Wait.
No, Naru was the redhead. I'm thinking of the girl with glasses.
Suru.
Yeah, it's like started with a
Tsurumi.
T.
That was
Tsurumi.
it. Tsurumi.
I
Because
loved her.
really, because I
She was kind of flat, but at the same time, I liked her. Like from the beginning, she was very sassy. And just
I wouldn't say
know.
sassy, because
Well,
she didn't have a whole lot of like personality. She was always very calm,
I know, but I
collected,
mean, like
and
she
controlled.
always had like she's
she-
always like, "You're an idiot."
Yeah, she was like sarcastic.
Yeah.
She would make some of those I don't know what you call it, like very bitter, sort of jokes, like stabbing. She's not afraid to be
That's
blunt.
what I liked about her, though.
We kind of needed
Yeah.
that character in there.
But yeah, I don't know. She didn't leave a big impression on me either way, just because she was kind of bland and probably got like the least development. Well, near the end, she does get some development, and that becomes interesting. But before all that, she's just sort of there as Yukiatsu. She's always with Yukiatsu, and she sometimes comes up with these plans. Like she comes up with a plan to catch him in the act of cross-dressing, basically. Try to snap him out of his weirdness.
Especially
She's
when-
always like, "Why do you take me shopping with you? I don't want to be here." And
yeah.
he's like, "Welp."
Yeah, I definitely did not connect the dots there in the first episode, as far as that he was buying clothes for his pretend girlfriend
either.
and like all that.
Such
I
a
was like,
weirdo.
interesting. Although
Weirdo.
I did sort of think, when she's going on, and by the way, spoilers for the show in case you haven't already figured it out. Bit of a late for spoiler warning, but that's okay. When she's talking in like the last two episodes about how she never has a chance with Yukiatsu because he loves Menma, and then even then she's second fiddle to Anjo. I do get the feeling, based on like his reactions, like he's saying her name, in that very anime way, Surumi, as she's talking, because he's obviously shocked by all of this. Even though they like apparently hung out like every day, before then, were like pretty close friends. I get the feeling like if she had actually like confessed her feelings for him, after he had, if she had done it before his whole Menma cross-dressing phase, things might have gone sourly then, but he improved a little bit after that, so.
So what bothers me, though, about him is that, all right, we only start seeing him being a creepo after Yadami is like, oh yeah, Menma, and they're like, what? And then we see him with these things in his locker. And I remember when he was like just smelling the dress, one of the top comments was, is he sniffing a dead girl's clothes?
Yeah,
I hope
saw
not.
that.
And I was like, lol, what a creep. But
Creep.
he had this stuff before any of this happened. It's not like he's been all of a sudden started doing it. It's
Right.
like
He's
he's
been
been continuously doing this for years.
12 years.
What a weirdo.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't know it's been going on that
Well,
long.
okay.
It's been it's like been longer than the start of the series.
No, that's true. We don't
Which
know
is
how
weird.
long, but.
Which is really weird.
Still.
No, there's no
And he
question
even bought
he's
like
weird.
the same hair clip. Same one. Put it in the hair, sniffed it. Weirdo.
That's right, because Surumi had.
She probably found it on the ground.
Okay, so she found the real one, and he
Yeah.
bought a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to feel a little bit bad for him, when you see that scene, because he basically has the guts to go confess his love to Menma, and give her the little pin, and then she just sort of shoots him down, and says, "I gotta go find Yadami." Ah.
I mean, there are like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but he obviously takes it pretty seriously, given what happens later that day. Your last interaction with your best friend.
But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. Him as a character, he was a bit of he's not a good character.
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
Creepy.
once you learn all that stuff, like, you don't like him to begin with, and then once it's like, oh.
Yeah, well, and whenever they're
that kind of
whenever
person.
they're in a group together, he's always the one to make a stab at Yadami, or say Menma. This Menma isn't real. You still
Or
are going,
when he
carrying
says,
out
"Oh,
that
I saw
delusion."
Menma at the grill out party thing,"
And they're all like,
Right.
what? And I was like, you liar. Stop. First,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe she's appearing to everyone.
Yeah, I
that
did-
would be cool.
I did think it was kind of cute how Menma was like, "I want to meet Menma. Why can't there be 2 of me? Let's go see."
I remember that.
Mem Mario and Mem Luigi.
Oh yes, that was a nice little reference.
I don't know if you noticed. I loved how the very beginning of this series had all these references. It had
Pokemon.
Mokemon,
No,
Pokemon. That was it.
Bobo. Remember,
Yeah.
like when
W.C. Donalds or something like that?
Yeah.
Wick
Wick
Donalds.
Wick
McDonald's.
It's adorable.
Hamtaro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
The
remember
Hamtaro
the
dr-
Hamtaro.
Some
So-
people didn't find that very funny. They were like, "Wow, way to be original," and I was like,
I
"Shut
thought it
up."
was funny.
Yeah, well,
Hey, it made me relate to the show because when I think of like my childhood, or whatever, like it's like, oh yeah, Hamtaro. I remember that.
Bobobo.
I have a Game Boy Color of it, and then he's reading the Bobobo comics, and it's just like, and then
I remember that one.
and then the Pokemon games. It's like,
yeah.
what really struck
Nokemon.
Yeah.
What really struck me with that, it's like, whoa, you've created characters that I can sort of relate to because
We did that.
Yeah. Well, that was the part that got to
Yeah.
me most, like seeing them system link, to send over the Nokemon, to get the rare one that she
Exactly.
wanted.
That's the
know.
point.
Cute.
My
Yeah.
point is, it's like I can see you've done it again. You've made me like remember my childhood. And it's like I see what you did there. You silly,
I see what you did.
You.
there.
silly goose.
I have to say one of the moments that definitely made me like the most like Yukiatsu, you're being really awkward right now. Is when Menma comes and like actually reveals herself to them. And she's like carrying the stuffed raisin bread or whatever it was. And he asks like, "Oh, well, what does mine have the most of?" And I want to hear it from Menma herself. Talk to me, Menma.
was annoying.
And he keeps on going on about that.
Trying too hard.
Or probably the worst was when he recreated the events of that day in episode 10.
Oh my god, I hate him so much. Words cannot describe
well,
how much he makes
although-
me uncomfortable.
I mean, it makes me mad at him, but I'm a bit more mad at Anjo, Anju, however you
Anjo.
pronounce it, because she went through with it, knowing it would hurt Yadami.
Anaru.
Yes.
Hiss.
I guess do we have any more to say about Yukiatsu or Sumeri? I mean, they both
they kind of pair together,
Go
but I mean,
together.
at the same time, this whole attraction that she has to him, it's kind of sad because, and I loved it too. Like
because you love sad things.
I
right?
I do like sad things, but I kind of love the idea. It's like you love this person, and you are just watching them destroy themselves, and you
Yeah.
just sit on the guidelines, just wishing you could tell them your feelings, but no, they're obsessed about a dead girl's ghost, and you're just gonna watch as they slowly destroy themselves. It's so
Heartbreaking.
Well, but she
But it's so
actually
good.
she even though she's the more reserved of all of the characters, even she was friends with Menma, and she wants to believe that she's real.
isn't she the one who told him, "I don't believe you" first?
yeah.
She probably was. I think she said something like, "I don't believe that she's real."
I don't
but-"
believe
and
these things were made by. It was with the
with the bread.
bread. I don't believe Menma
Oh, I
made
remember.
those.
Yeah.
She was the one to first say that.
Yeah, that's true. She was doubting, but she came around eventually. I think Yukiatsu was the last one to be
Persuaded.
Yeah.
And we can all say, I guess, to kind of sidestep into this character, we can all say Momo believed the
Popo.
Sorry,
Momo. That's Avatar.
Avatar. Oops. Popo believed that Memo was there.
He's adorable.
The instant.
I love his nose.
Yeah, no. Popo, I mean, whereas
so
Yukiatsu
cute.
is obviously supposed to be
He's
the
like
character.
Bolin.
Yeah, he is a lot like Bolin, actually. Whereas
yeah.
Yukiatsu is supposed to be the character everyone hates, Popo is obviously supposed to be the character everyone likes because he's the fun, happy,
he wears
funny
Hawaiian
guy.
shirts so
you
I
know.
love
All
it.
times.
Yeah, he's almost always happy. He immediately believes them and he works super hard, like make Menma's wish come true. Like he's just so genuine. You can't help but like him. And that's the thing. He's the one who often calls like the meetings at his at the clubhouse,
at the old clubhouse.
which is now his house apparently.
And he's the one that has the heaviest burden.
Yes. Oh, can we get into that? Because
Well,
I love
no.
his.
I was gonna save that for near the end because
Okay.
the talking about like the last episode deserves its whole
guess
a whole
so.
topic to
Its whole
itself.
thing.
But
All its feels.
all the
Yes.
All the feels.
Yeah, but he has like in those last few episodes, he has a few moments where you actually see him be like serious.
And it's weird.
Yeah, it does throw you off because you're so used to him being so happy.
Happy-go-lucky.
Exactly.
I think my favorite part is when Menma jumps on his back and Yadami's like, she's on your back, and he's like, oh, really? Like he gets so excited that like she's
Oh, yeah.
there,
And
and
then-
he can kind of feel it.
And then she's like saying his name over and over again, like po 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 po
That
po.
was
po.
adorable. I like the part where he's like trying to bring in the noodles, but then he sees that Menma's like on top of fell on top of Jintan.
Oh no, it's Anaru,
Yeah.
and he's
And
like,
he's like, retreat.
yeah.
I do remember
It
that.
was like beef noodles retreat or something like
Yeah,
that.
that
It was
was
like
it.
curry retreat. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And I just love how, he's, like I said, he's the character that sort of, it's the coming back of Menma that brings everyone together, but he's the one that all of them sort of like, Yukiatsu and Sumeri are off in their own world, and then Jintan and Anaru are sort of together, but
Kinda.
all of them sort of gravitate to Popo. They're all
Yeah.
friends with him still.
Popo-
And he's all like, not gonna do the school thing. I'ma travel the world.
But there's reasons for that.
I know there is a
There are
reason for
so
that.
sad reasons.
So
for
many
that.
sad reasons.
And it's why he keeps going on them.
Sadness.
Sadness. So do we want to move to Anaru?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, yeah, but like we said, Popo doesn't get a ton of
We'll
character
get back.
development.
We'll get to him back. We're
The
coming
one
back
thing
to
that I
him.
found really funny is like he's just so genuine and seemingly innocent about his magazines.
Oh yeah, his pervy magazine.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's true. Yeah, he's not so innocent in
he's
that regard.
not, and he's
Don't
all
touch
like,
those.
"Don't touch those," and he's perfect. I love him. He reminds me so much of Bolin.
I hadn't made that connection before, but you're right a lot.
I think it was the nose for me. I was like, oh, same nose.
The same nose.
I
That
love
must be
theirs.
it.
I love their noses.
Okay, I guess we can move on to Anaru, who, I grew to like her more as the series went on, because at first she sort of is a bit of she's not a jerk to Yadami, but she's not exactly the most receptive to him, coming out of his hole,
Yes,
out
but
into the sunlight.
It's funny because even though he has problems as far as hiding in his hole, her whole problem is she takes advice. Like she judges herself to the point that she lets other people's ideas think and base what she has to do.
Which is why she doesn't.
It's interesting why they bring up they bring up her character as kind of like a slut. I mean,
But
even
she's not.
she's not, and she has a conversation with the other chick. What's her name again? Sumeri, and they have this, that whole.
Sumeri. Yeah.
The one thing that I can say about this show is just the characterization. They're all a little bit different, but the puzzle pieces just form perfectly. I mean, I like how you have all these archetypes. You've got the girl who's seeing the guy who's slowly imploding. You've got the girl who's worried about all of her, about what people and what society think of her. You've got Jintan who doesn't care anymore just because he's depressed, sort of depressed, and just plays Vigima games in his room. And then you've got Popo who tries to escape his problems in life by going to other places around the world. And it's just like...
I'm a level 5 shaman.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best.
He's like, there are levels. I think that's what Jintan says.
But the one episode where they go to the karaoke, and the guy is going to take her to the Love Hotel.
Yeah.
Do you remember the One Piece reference there?
Yeah, that's right.
One Piece doesn't
catch One Piece.
Again, sorry, I'm like...
Yeah, there were actually quite a number of pop culture references in the show.
Which, again, I liked. The One Piece one, at least. I'm like, I like that show.
I felt so bad for Honoru. She's like, hey, you want to get out of here? She's like, yes, I don't want to be here anymore. And he's like, pervy thoughts.
Well, no.
And she's like, I'm totally oblivious to all of this. What?
Well, no, because I think he sees her all out of it, and then he takes like the action. Is like, oh, hey, she and I are getting out of here, and she's like, what? But goes along with it 'cause she doesn't want to make a scene.
But even then, she's just completely oblivious to his
Until they get
intentions.
there.
And then she's like, wait,
Yeah,
I thought you had One Piece to go watch. It's like, what are you talking about? One Piece comes on whatever the day it is.
She was a little bit. I think Yutsuru even says at one point, like, you really don't know how to handle boys well, do you?
And she
kicks him. But that's actually something I just thought of. Yutsuru comes to her rescue there. He happens to walk. Yukiatsu, sorry. He walks by and saves her from the rapist guy.
It's pretty sly. But even then, he was a jerk about it later. He's like, yeah, I'm smart and I'm handsome.
I saved you.
I saved your life.
Yeah.
Want to go out?
But that's
and
true. That was a little awkward. But he sort of admits his own faults though. Like he says, like I'm sick, I'm messed up. Even though I've got all these things. So
yeah, but he doesn't do anything about it.
That's true. Well,
I am a horrible person.
It's hard to address your problems.
Yeah, but I mean...
But that's why, again, the characterization in this show cannot be praised more than enough.
He cannot redeem himself. I
geez.
refuse.
Hey, everyone's redeemable. Come on. Darth Vader showed us that.
Yeah, but no.
He killed innocent little young Jedi.
It's true.
Yeah, but he's not Yadomi.
It's a Yukiatsu.
Yukiatsu.
Yadomi was a good guy.
I know. I got confused for a second.
I always think when you say Yadomi, I think of like Yagami.
Yagami.
Yeah. We should call him Jintan.
What did you guys think?
Yeah, I like Jintan.
I liked it.
What did you guys think of Honoru's friends? Because
they were obnoxious.
Yeah,
obnoxious.
They reminded me of a couple of my friends back at school when they were just obnoxious and loud, and Honoru's just sitting there, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's really familiar.
It seems like a lot of anime remind you of your friends because you had that with what's her name from Psycho-Pass too.
Yeah, people telling me that I'm bad for being smart. I need better friends.
Oh, well, we like you for your smarts, Clara.
I love you.
Genius.
Yeah.
Now go make us $1 million project.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. But I would say, like, I mentioned how Honoru sort of spurned Yadomi early on, like in that episode 1. But then, like, I think it's episode 2 or 3 where he decides to go to school because he thinks that might be Menma's wish. And then once again, her friends sort of like make these asshole comments about him, and she feels bad about it. But
doesn't say anything because she's just
yeah.
I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's sort of that person that goes with the flow.
A sheep.
A sheep, yes. She just follows the crowd. But you can tell, from that episode on, basically, it becomes pretty obvious to us as the audience that she's got a thing for Yadomi.
She's so tsundere, it kills me.
She doesn't, like, attack and get mad that
Yeah,
often.
but she gets flustered, and it's whenever someone points out that she's got affections towards him, and then she's like, shut up, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Or she'll be like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And then she got all upset when he's like, you're a virgin, aren't you? And she's like, no, shut up, is that bad?
It's kind of rude.
And I'm just like, geez, stop the tsundere, please.
Oh, that's right. Wasn't it like Yadami accidentally like came in on her in the house when she was staying there, and she like throws things at him.
It was very
he says
tsundere.
like, "Now I know she's a virgin," and then she throws something else at him. That was a funny moment.
But yeah, Yukiatsu pointed it out, and she's like, shut up, I don't like you.
Shut up.
Shut up, is that a bad thing?
And
he's like-
"You're being mean." But I do agree with you. I felt really bad, like after that whole the One Piece fiasco, we'll call it. I think
Set sail for One Piece.
no 4 kids talk here.
Wait. But,
when Jintan goes back to school the next day, and no one's paying attention to him. Everyone's whispering about how
Just explodes.
how she apparently had sex with this guy, which
How did people find out? It was pretty barren.
Maybe is it possible probably not her friends, but maybe the guys that were with her friends said something.
Maybe.
Because it was pretty obvious to everybody except for her what that guy was going to go do with her.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they spread the rumors, and there it went. And I did think it was quite cute where Jintan looks around at her, and she's like writing on her paper like, stop it, I didn't do it, blah blah blah.
Oh, then
And
he makes his whole speech.
yeah, and he's super awkward, trying to defend her basically. And she sort of even points it out later, like when they're talking to each other, like, wow, that was super stupid, but it was cool, which is both of those things that you mentioned, the girl getting super flustered whenever, oh, you have affections for him, huh? And then people freak out. That's true of both boy and girl characters in anime, when they actually have feelings for each other,
The most
they
natural
always
thing
deny
is to say,
it.
no, I don't.
Of course.
Of course not.
Everyone's a little tsundere in this anime, except for Menma. She's obnoxious, but she's cute.
It's
Yeah.
that obnoxious.
She's just
cute.
so
It's that
innocent.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yes, innocent,
Well,
obnoxious, cute.
To be perfectly honest, the episode where she annoyed me was episode 1.
Yeah.
I guess she was more hyperactive there than she usually was as the episodes went on, and you got to learn a bit more about her and her relationship with the others and everything. She never really annoyed me after that first episode.
A little
which
bit
is-
when she was like, I'm
What
going to
about-
find Menma. And I'm like, stop.
Now, what
a
about the whole
trap.
thing with her mother and her father and her brother?
That was interesting because at first you're led to believe that the mom is like, super cares about Menma and everything. And then it's like, oh, wait, she's actually kind of obsessed with her.
It's really actually pretty scary.
Yeah, apparently everyone in the show is obsessed with this
Everyone.
girl.
We all love you, Menma.
Well, I mean, by the judge of it, like when you look at the place, it looks like it's a fairly small town. Like it's not huge, but
And they probably played together like all the time when they were little. So their parents naturally would like know.
Right. Well, I remember I want to say it's Jintan when they're like leaving that place. He mentions that he thought he saw something like in the mom's eyes, in her behavior, something that said there's something a little off about her, and we didn't really know what. It's not until later when they come ask her for the firework to help with the firework
And
that
she's
she
like, rage.
screams at them.
Rage.
rage.
Yeah. And at first, you really aren't too much of a fan of the younger brother because I think he says something like disparaging against Menma, and she gets mad at him, and you're like, oh hey, stop being mean to Menma. But
Then he's nice.
yeah, and then later on, when he's talking to Yadami, he tells about how he barely even remembers her because he was so young.
Sad.
You do get that cute little flashback where she says she's going to be with the what are they called?
Super Peace Busters.
Yeah.
Yes, the Super Peace Busters, and he's
He
like,
has
I want to come with you, and she's like, no, you have to stay and protect the house.
Okay.
Like,
It was cute.
yeah, and he's like, yes, we'll do.
They're so cute. Okay, when he was like, Mom, how tall am I? And she couldn't answer. It was so sad.
Yeah, well,
Oh my God.
I think I want to say somewhere in there was a line of you still have another child, or something to that effect.
And then she's like, what?
Oh yeah, that guy.
That other one that I have.
The other.
one.
That other thing that lives next door to our bedroom. That other one.
Yeah.
Who is he?
I did think it was kind of funny how Menma, she goes and visits like her parents' house and her little shrine that they got there, and she points out like, I really didn't like the picture they chose for me, because in a lot of my pictures I was doing the peace sign or something like that. So
I
sort of,
thought it was a cute picture.
yeah. Yeah, well, apparently anything Menma does is cute, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually something I was thinking about as far as this movie goes, you know, with it focusing on her, because Menma works in this story because she's not the protagonist, even though she's the central plot point and central real character to the show as a whole. You know, because she's not the main character and all the other main characters are pretty messed up, she is sort of portrayed as this perfect, innocent, you know, completely lovable, completely cute, completely forgiving sort of character, this image of childhood innocence, you know. But if she's she's actually going to be the protagonist of this movie, you can't have a perfect character as a protagonist. They're going to have to go somewhat into her own insecurities or weaknesses or something.
We'll probably see more like her reaction towards her parents, her reaction towards when Jintan gets upset, and
Yeah.
especially the part where he starts crying, which
Yeah, either that
It
or
was
it's going to
pretty
be a
difficult.
whole movie of her doing goofy, silly things while Jintan's off, like at school or
Yeah.
work or whatever. What's she doing at home?
exploring
I
the
would
house.
hope
That-
it's not.
I
that.
hope it's not that too.
I'm
Trust
gonna
me.
put a little faith in A1 Pictures to come. You know, it's like you did this TV series really well. If you're making a movie, I hope that because it's been 2 years later
Right.
since it was made. So it's like I hope that means you've thought about the plot, how you can rewrite it for this, and you're gonna make it good and make us give us more. Don't just go like, here's the same story again, just rehashed.
I think
give
they
us
could do it.
more. Give us
Yeah.
more on the sadness.
Because even when Jintan's working, we don't see Menma a whole lot.
That's
so
true.
like maybe it's those points they're gonna focus
Maybe
on more.
we're does she because she like you said she does go visit the other people every now and then. What if that's what the movie more focuses on and seeing how these people are broken and how
get
she
to
wants to fix them?
We get to see her make the phone calls.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did think that was interesting how they said when they were making the phone calls that they just heard like a weird staticky noise. You know, like
Yeah.
nothing comes. But I personally would have expected there to just be silence with the fact that there's something there.
I mean, I really liked how they included aspects of like stereotypical hauntings. Like lights will flicker, room will get kind of cold, your energy gets drained, and
Oh,
they
yeah,
showed
they got
all symptoms of
Chills
that.
at one point.
Yeah, they all got chills at
Yeah.
one point because Menmo's around, like a stereotypical ghost that she hadn't been up until this point. And
Yeah.
it was like really cool at the same time. And they were like just floating objects, and they were all like, I guess this is normal.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, and in earlier episodes, like when Memma's going to different places, sometimes like she'll leave a door opened or hit something or something, and everyone sort of freaks out and is like, "What? But I didn't do anything."
The door's
you know?
open. Then
well,
he
you must have
closes.
done something, you know, because there's no wind or anything, so it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, although
Harrisburg.
I do have to say it did frustrate me a little bit, like when they, I think it's episode 8 or 9, you know, where she finally reveals herself to them. But why in hell didn't she do that like episodes ago when they could have
I
like
thought, okay,
gathered them all together and be like, Menma's real, see, she can move things.
Maybe they didn't
Starts
think.
writing.
They really
Yeah.
didn't
Well, I
think
thought
about
with
it
the thing
then.
with the writing thing, it was because that was a major complaint that a lot of people had. It didn't bother me as much, but as far as like the writing in the notebook, she only wrote in her old former notebook.
Well,
'cause
She
that's
couldn't
some-
do anything else.
No, actually, I saw something differently about that because I thought it was just the notebook. But if you recall, she writes on the walls of the place of the clubhouse, I guess you want to call it.
Oh,
so,
the Hamtaro?
well, no, she remember at the very last episode, she writes,
Our friends
"We're
forever."
best friends
Yeah.
forever."
Well, okay, that
But
might be
so-
a plot discrepancy. I mean,
No,
Maybe it was just because she was passing.
no,
on.
it's not actually because she earlier when she's hanging out with Popo, she says there's a line where she says, "Oh, I can write here," and she's like drawing something on the wall. I
Maybe
don't
it's
know
just something
what.
she's always been super
But
attached
so
to.
the thing I saw basically was that she can draw and write things inside the clubhouse for whatever reason, but can't do it anywhere else.
so it's that special spot.
I guess. So
Like I
which
thought
I-
it made a lot of sense when she could only write in her diary. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's hers.
right.
So therefore,
But now that you bring that up, I mean, I would associate the clubhouse with that too, because like the paper she writes on to them is from her diary that she rips out. So
that was adorable.
What when she was writing on the
Yeah,
in
when
the
she
diary.
wrote
The
all those
compliments.
notes,
And
I
she
would have
wrote-
cried. I would have cried so much.
Yeah. Well, I
did
it was
cry so
quite
much.
sad when in episode 10, they're all gathered together it's like the party celebration before, her going to heaven, and she writes in it and says like, thank you all for coming. Like I'm going to go to heaven tomorrow, and I hope you guys will stay friends with me till the very end. And they're all like, All the feels.
And she makes stuff for her own party, which is so cute.
Oh yeah.
I make tissue flowers.
And I think Yadami even says like, "Why are you making stuff for
It's
your own party?"
party.
I should be doing that. Going back to Honoru real quick, what did you guys think of the scene in the I don't know, whatever it was, the video game store? That's like where they were working. After Yadami falls off of the ladder and is in that sick room, and that's where Honoru and him sort of have that confession where Honoru basically says like, I hated Menma because I was jealous of her. And I can't forgive myself for that. And I also can't forgive myself for liking you, and I still like you, basically.
And he's like, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, well, and I thought they did it particularly effectively because you hear someone come in the store and he just opens the door and says like, "Welcome," and she's there like crying and saying like, "Yadami, you idiot," or something like that. But I thought that was quite sad because unlike Surumi, I actually quite liked Honoru as the show went on, because you felt bad for her, in those situations she got herself placed in. And as the show went on, you saw her, she left, she didn't go to school for a while, and she left her friends a lot, to go hang out with Yadami and Menma and the rest of them.
Busters.
Exactly. So, you sort of see her break away from that's following what people tell you sort of philosophy. I'm trying to remember, isn't what Menma writes for her in the last episode, isn't it like, "I love how you're so
Level-headed.
Level-headed," that was it.
And I was like, well, that's untrue.
Exactly. It was like the opposite of what she actually was, which is kind of a cool thing. All right, so I guess we can move on to Yukiatsu, or not Yukiatsu, we already talked about him.
We don't need to talk about him.
Jintan, our protagonist, who we get to experience from episode 1 all the way to episode 11.
Hikikomori.
Yes, and
Hikikomori disease.
I have to say, he's sort of that character who is the socially awkward type, but as you see in those scenes at the school, or there's another one, I don't remember where it was, but he like spontaneously does something to defend Honoru.
Oh, it was at the video store when he yells like "welcome"
That's
really
right.
loudly,
Oh,
and
that
they're
was
like,
funny.
That's right, because they were whispering about that same incident.
Yep.
Yeah,
"Isn't that that weird kid? Isn't that that weird girl?"
Yeah, and
Whisper.
and I think Honoru had been talking before how you're not very good at welcoming people, are you? Because he was saying it like super quietly and awkwardly.
It's like, "Hey, welcome."
Yeah, so there's a lot to like about him. Even though he sort of portrayed it near the beginning as this pretty lazy character, or is an ambitious and things like that. You see later,
But
once
Menma makes him ambitious.
right. Well, yeah, when he actually wants something, he's working like those 2 jobs like nonstop hours. So you really get that hardworking aspect of him there. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Jintan?
There's not a whole lot to talk about him since he's
sort of the everyman since he's the protagonist. You think he's that sort of a character?
He reminds me a bit of my boyfriend.
How so?
They sit inside and play video games all day. That's literally his life right now because he can't go to school yet.
Oh, well.
But don't worry, that'll change next year. He'll have
Yay.
stuff to do.
Video games are cool though.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah,
He's very good at them.
But there are times when Jintan does things that maybe not the everyman would do, like how he when Honoru confesses to him, he just sort of ignores her instead of actually reciprocating his feelings or whatever, which is obviously, at least that's what I wanted to do. I was like, damn it, why aren't you saying anything?
Right.
Or
Or, go ahead.
towards the end when he starts saying that he doesn't want Menma to move on. It's like, oh, stop being so selfish.
And then the one guy's like, "If you don't do it, I will."
Yeah.
But, like, when he saw her down by the river, you actually saw the full-blown panic of him and the trauma that the river gives him.
Yeah.
Because
That's before you know what actually happened.
No,
right?
well,
That was,
no.
like episode
Yeah.
11, I
11.
believe.
no, that was 10.
10, sorry, 10.
No, sorry. It was 9.
9.
'cause 10
Was it?
was, yeah. Episode 9 was the one at the river.
Busters.
But that actually brings up a good point because, it's pretty early on when they show that little flashback of, I think it's Jintan's dad telling him, like, Jintan, Menma, she, and it just shows her shoe floating in the river there. And, you can sort of imagine
Assume she's
what's going
drowned.
on there.
Imagination.
But-
Whole Bridge to Terabithium.
But
moment.
I was wondering in episode 9 there, when she goes like and is looking at that trout and stuff, like she said, I was like, I gotta go catch the trout. Are we supposed to assume that that's what she was actually doing that day? Like she went looking for this trout and somehow got caught up in a current and floated down river and died, or is it something else? Because they never really explain exactly what happened.
Maybe that's what the movie will do. Because it'll be from
Oh, that'd
her
be nice.
perspective.
Maybe we'll
It'll be
actually
nice
know.
watching her drown. Yes.
Finding out.
Jesus, Matt.
No, I was being sarcastic towards Gretchen. Don't take that seriously. I was just like, yeah, because we're from her perspective now. So we can...
When like I saw the trout, like I didn't know whatever the fish was, and it was like I just saw a splash. I thought maybe she fell in, or something happened, and part of me thought like maybe she was like gonna relive that or something. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
just
kinda thought that
something
too.
like flashes of memories, because she's been getting those with his mom and other things from their past. So I thought maybe she was gonna like picture like rushing water or something like really uncomfortable, but then it's like I saw a fish,
Yeah.
and then Jintan's like, get away from there, don't go in the water. No, nope.
I got to assume maybe she doesn't have memories of like her last moments, because you'd think
Maybe.
rivers would be a little bit scary to her.
She's like, nope,
That
water.
was the case.
I saw a fish.
I saw a fish. I'm gonna go catch it.
I saw a fish. That is all.
That does remind me of something with Jintan, I was going to say, and now I'm starting to forget. Oh, now I remember. With how in those early episodes, he's convinced that Menma is a figment of his imagination, or when he's like defending Menma to his friends or talking about her, he keeps on saying how he thinks she's an hallucination, he thinks he's going crazy, all that stuff, until eventually he sort of comes around and is like, wow, she's actually real,
I thought it was cute how she made the bread.
Well, and it's actually, that was cute how they had like eggshells in them or whatever.
And
at that
she's like,
first
oh
time.
man.
But they actually do a tricky little thing in that first episode where you see Jintan there with Menma, and I think it's that scene where he's sitting there and she's like rolling all over him and they're at like the dinner table or something. And it's only when the dad enters in and he's completely ignoring Menma that you realize she's not actually
Something's
there.
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that you kind of thought, is like, she really there? Is she not there? And then until she starts really ripping the pages, like, oh, okay. Like, at first I thought, okay, maybe it's a figment of his imagination because he can only see it. So, like he said, the whole summer heat.
Right. Well, but like with when she makes the bread with the eggshells in it, like that was obviously her.
This is true.
There were things going on like water rushing, while he's in the other room.
But
and
he
things.
could just be really delusional.
That-
Could be.
Like Fight Club.
What if that was the twist?
And then the second time when she makes the bread and it's like perfect and she's like so happy.
Yeah.
She made it just like the mom. Aw.
In the first episode, I actually thought like she was like a little sister or something, or a cousin that a family member is, because he's like the summer beast. And I'm like, oh, are they related? Or is she a friend? What's going on? And then she's being all obnoxious, pounding on his back. I'm like, that acts like just like a little sister would. And then when the dad wasn't acknowledging, I just thought maybe he was like, oh, look at those kids playing. And then eventually she's there and no one's paying attention. I'm like, something's up. Something's up.
Clara gets out her detective glass. Like,
Detective
what's
Glass.
going on
What's
here?
this? Rewatch.
Something I just thought of we haven't really talked about. What did you guys think of the scene, the flashback scene? Basically the day, that we keep seeing moments of, from
Every
different
5 minutes.
No, well, actually, I was actually a little bit surprised at how few flashbacks there were to the past.
Yeah,
they
they
were
didn't
enough.
And it was basically the same sequence of,
Yeah.
like...
Konabusu.
Yeah, if you think about it, the only real bits you get of them like interacting and having fun outside of that day, or there's a few flashbacks near the beginning and then the stuff in the opening, and that's really it. They don't really take the time to build much of the kid interactions. They take more time to build what's going on in the present, which I suppose is probably a good thing because these are the characters you're watching, and it's their relationship and what's happening in the plot in the present that's really important. But I think it would have been nice to see a little bit more of their interactions and relationships when they were kids, more of that happy, fun time.
Well, we get to see it in the end.
Maybe
a
in the
little bit,
movie.
yeah. Yeah, maybe in the movie. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought before you told me that, I just thought the movie was going to be a rehashing of the story. I'm like, okay, I don't need to see that. And now that you're telling me it's from her perspective,
Yep.
Menma, it's
it was on A&N, so must be true. But I would have to say, you know, along with that whole idea, Clara, of what you mentioned, like when somebody asks you, do you like this person? And obviously you're going to say no. You know, young Jintan takes it a step further and says, like, who would like that ugly face or whatever? And then he realizes what he's done.
And she's all like, eh.
Yeah, which makes more sense with what we learn later, that she knew it was coming, basically, that they were going to pull this on him. You know, if it had come out of the blue, maybe she would have actually, like, cried or something.
Like when he actually was like, yeah, I like her. I love her.
But those were tears of happiness.
Yeah. It was cute. It was like, I want to marry you.
I like you like I want to marry you.
It was cute.
Yeah, that was a cute. I actually saw somebody was posted it, like, what's your favorite romantic quote ever? And someone posted that.
It's
Like, the type of love I have for you is the type where I want to marry you.
It's adorable.
But that's Menma.
It is
Adorable
Menma.
all around.
Mm-hmm.
Always adorable at all times.
All the adorable.
I saw a fish.
She does actually say that, but I kind of wish she did now.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you guys think about that whole conflict? Because that's sort of what I was referring to as far as like how similar it was to Angel Beats, where in both series near the end the protagonist has sort of been, you know, like, okay, we got to make this person pass on, you know, fulfill these wishes, da 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 da, and then at the last minute they're both like, hey, well, actually, it would be kind of nice to be with you forever and not have you leave.
Fun fact:
let's
both
do
these
that.
shows were produced at the same time, and we already know, like, they were airing Japan simultaneously.
Was Angel Beats 2011?
Angel Beats was 2011, and it was spring 2011, and this was also spring 2011. They aired exactly at the same time. And we already know my opinion of Angel Beats, but we know my opinion of Anohana.
Anohana. Yeah, well, I guess both companies felt like there was a market for this type of
I'm
show.
gonna leave this question to them because I can't answer this one because we already know my opinion of the other.
Well, it's not so much on the comparisons to Angel Beats because it's very similar. Although I do think Anohana does it better just because they basically from when Anaru yells at him, you know, and she even says the line like, let's say Menma is real and you make her disappear. What are you going to do when she is gone? And he starts thinking about that, you know. And when they get to the scene at the river, you know, that's sort of the trigger for him to realize, like, no, I do want you to stay forever. And he even says it point blank to her face in episode 10, I think it is. And that's where she says, I love you, but I also love everyone else. You know, I love you like the type I want to marry you. That whole bit is there. Whereas in Angel Beats, Otanashi literally says that in the last 5 minutes of the show. He's like, you know what, I changed my mind. Let's stay here.
Yeah.
But it's a little late for it at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it might have been on his mind, but we just never really saw it. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, with Otanashi. But I don't know. I will admit, you know, it does bring some conflict into Jitan, both as a character and as an audience member watching, because on the one hand, obviously you want, you know, Menma to pass on, and that's obviously is going to be a good thing. But at the same time, you know, it's sort of like I almost equate it to how you feel when watching a good show. Like, you don't want that show to end. You know, so you're like, let's have they can be together forever. Yeah.
I can see why he would not want her to
Make
pass on,
hundreds
but
of
at the same
episodes.
time, it was like, oh, stop it. Like, you love her, so you should let her move on. Everybody needs to move on.
Move along.
That's the way.
Hey, we already sang one song. In this
We can't
episode.
sing other.
That should be our ending song.
All right, you guys can sing that if you want. I probably won't. But I suppose we can move on to
Episode
Menma.
1. Oh.
Well, we're missing the most important character here. We sort of have talked about her already, but
Super cool.
You have to.
yeah, pretty much super cute,
She's
super
cute,
innocent, super everything.
Annoying in the first episode,
But that's about it.
but yeah, the next 10 episodes, she's great.
Awesome, pretty much. I'm trying to think.
Ow.
I already mentioned the bit about her age, which was a little confusing. I do find it quite cute in some of the scenes where before, you know, she's revealed herself to the rest of the gang, you know, when Jintan is like talking with people, and she's like making comments in the background. He's obviously trying to ignore her.
I
so
applaud him.
yeah.
That must be really. It's like, imagine like someone talking to you like, "Hey, Clara, you're talking to Alex, but hey, look over here. Oh, isn't this funny? It's a banana."
I couldn't do it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone could.
He pulls it off.
Well, but
Sometimes.
Mostly.
yeah, that's the thing though. There are occasions where he's talking to Menma and other people are just there watching him, so he's got to look completely insane.
Like when he just falls for no reason.
When
Or
was
like,
that?
Well, like when she slipped off the post, and then like
Oh,
later
right.
on when I forget
Yeah.
what he was doing, but he was like reaching, but then just falls over, and I'm like, you need to learn how to walk a little bit better.
Yeah, well, I think doesn't he like jump?
No, the
to-
second time was like Menma like bumped into him or yanked his arm or something, and then she just fell. No, he was walking away, and she was like dragging his arm, but then she lets go, so he just falls.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it looks like he's like someone's on his arm, but then no one is actually there.
Right, and I think someone else walks up and like sees him lying face flat on the ground, and they're like, "What are you doing?"
I think it was Anaru.
I think that was it. Yeah.
She's like, "What are you doing, sir,
What are you doing, sir?
Mister,
Mister Mime.
Mister Mime?"
Oh, that was something we didn't really talk about. What did you guys think of that scene where it was the second time I think Yukiatsu was talking to Anaru about, him liking her. But this time Sumari is nearby, like sort of listening in just because she happened to be there.
So sad.
Yeah, I don't know. You definitely feel bad for her there because I think they don't show anything explicitly, but there is like a shot of like a tear hitting or water hitting a little puddle, and you got to assume, oh, that's her crying.
Oh, I
And
thought it was
there's
just
a-
about to rain or something.
There was that moment where the girls are harassing her, and she's like, all these facts about him. K-bye.
Oh, and he's a
Oh, yeah.
cross-dresser.
And
Like his age, his weight.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then
wanna
she
know all
walks away.
Yeah, they want to know all the details about him.
And she's like, this is his stuff.
And it's like-
Leaves.
Bye.
Bye.
But then he's like, why'd you do that? And she's crying because she's just like, you don't like me. Let go.
You don't like me.
This hurts.
Yeah, I think she does. Yeah, I think she calls him that one time when he's with Anaru, like planning this whole thing
Just
to
watching him.
Yeah, well, yeah, she actually was like staked outside the McDonald's. So
I mean, I can understand, but at the same time,
everyone
it's like,
goes to McDonald's.
yeah, but she was like calling him and like, "Are you hanging out with Anaru right now? Like, how dare you? I don't remember what the exact line was, but
like,
she's
like,
basically
you're pitiful.
Yeah, that was it. She was talking about how pitiful he was and how. And Yukiatsu also had this tendency to say things to Yadomi, that were sort of like,
Not so nice.
well, there's that, but also things he really sort of meant about himself. Like when he called him obsessed.
You're so obsessed, and
It's not like I cross-dress or anything.
you smell like a.
Talk to it.
Is that what he smells like? Okay.
But, what was it? I forget. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I lost it.
Uh,
It was about, Tsurumi.
I was going to mention how it was cool, and I think it was in the beginning of episode 10 is where you see, maybe it was episode 9, I think it might have been episode 9, where you see, what's her name, Menma, bringing all the things to them, to the rest of the gang, and that's like the first time they're seeing her like manipulating objects and things, and they're all, they purposefully show it sort of from their perspective, so you just see like the bowl of bread floating in midair,
I've been waiting to see that
things.
for a really long time.
Yeah, because up until then we'd all seen it from Jintan's perspective, where she's real,
She's a real girl. I know it.
Although I didn't quite understand, like, she obviously can physically interact with the world, but then when she like, comes and like hugs people or tackles them, they can't feel her, but they sort of get a sensation.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of how ghosts work, though.
It's kind of cool.
yeah, but
Like, just stereotypical, just what people say about ghosts.
true. But Jintan though, she obviously like tackles him and stuff, and it definitely
He's
affects him.
special.
It's different since he can see her.
And talk to her, and
Yeah, and that's it just made me think of something, but something that's never addressed in the show is like how / when she appeared and why she only appeared to Jintan,
'Cause she
literally
loved him.
well I guess why she appeared to Jintan is pretty obvious, but as far as like the origins of this whole thing, we literally just see him, with her in that opening scene in episode 1, and she's surprised that she's there, but it's obvious that he had been seeing her for at least a few hours beforehand or something, because he wasn't completely shocked by it. So, how long had she been there, before episode
I'm
1?
assuming probably a couple weeks by the fact about how annoyed he was with her. Just being like, stop bothering me. And just giving her like one word answers, and just she was pounding on his back. And I was wondering like if his dad ever noticed him just like violently shaking, like someone was punching him and nothing was happening, but he just never seemed to look over. And she's just like, make me scrambled eggs. Punch, punch.
You'd think when she's like punching his side and stuff, and you're seeing like his shirt move a little bit, you'd think that was a little weird.
That's what I kept wanting to happen. Like she would tug on his shirt and someone would see that and be like, what?
Ooh, what?
I wanted that to happen.
But yeah, I know. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
The
Hang
whole
on
thing
him
when
all the time, except for now.
Well, when she puts, like the bread and stuff, the bowl, and it's like, what? It's floating. It's like, why couldn't you do anything else until then?
Yeah.
Shouldn't think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think they even say at one point, like, Menma and Yadami aren't very smart, are they? Because they're like, why didn't she show us to it before? And then I think that's a line where Yukiatsu decides to reinforce that he's an asshole again, and is like, he was hogging Menma to himself, or something like that.
Yes.
Being a weirdo.
Yeah, okay. The way he says hogging to herself, there's a difference between, okay, thanks.
It's called the head of the microphone. When you're talking yes, when you're talking to the side, it gets
Microphones don't taste good.
when you're talking to the side, it doesn't sound as good.
We're not talking this time.
All right, so
Episode 11.
We've gone through all the characters, so yeah, now I figure we can talk about the final episode.
Woot.
The feels.
Well, or I guess we could talk a little bit about
Episode 11.
Episode 11.
the last sort of parts of episode 10, because that's sort of the build up.
Episode 11.
I don't know. Did you guys actually, think that when they launched the rocket, that Benma was going to disappear?
Well, the fact they had 2 more episodes, no.
Oh, it's one more episode.
One more
but
episode, no.
Yeah, that does sort of tip you off. Unless I have a full episode of just...
Like if I didn't know, I would be like, oh man, she's going to leave, and he's going to like call after her and turn around. She's not going to be there. It'll be so sad. And that didn't happen.
It'd be so sad.
I was actually thought like maybe because he turned around is like she couldn't disappear. I thought that was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were supposed to watch the rocket and she's going to like slowly disappear, but he turned around. She's like, well, can't do that anymore.
Whoop.
But
I can't disappear while someone's watching. I'm very self-conscious.
it's like, I don't know. It's like
Don't
when you're
watch me
messing
go to
with
heaven.
something and it doesn't work and then you're like, hey, this isn't working. And then all of a sudden it works when someone's watching. Kind of like that.
Right. Well, I sort of thought it might be a thing where, she was going to disappear, but then he turns around to look at her, and he wants her to, because right as the old man is lighting the rocket, he's like, no, I should stop this.
I can still stop this.
I can still stop this. We should be together forever, that whole thing. And so that maybe those feelings, of not wanting her to leave are what made her stay, and that's what basically the first part of episode 11 is all about, with them basically thinking that their own feelings is what made her not go to heaven, because their feelings were corrupt and selfish. Which is pretty true. All of them wanted her to go for a selfish reason rather than just for Menma to be happy and to pass on and reincarnate and all that good stuff.
Get out of here. No need.
Go on, get.
Go on, get.
I don't think I remember. Well, I can kind of talk about it now, can I? 'Cause we're going to talk about feelings
Yes.
and
You can-
people talking.
You can talk about your feelings, yes.
All right, so with Surumi and her confessing that she's always been jealous of Anjo, I don't know. That was like really sad for me because it wasn't even like Menma. She wanted to be like Anjo.
Right. Well, I did think it was said how she kept on saying to Anjo, like, you at least have a chance. When Menma leaves, Yadami might start to like you, but I'm always going to be like second fiddle, because even if Yukiatsu moves on from Menma, he's going to go for you before me. So she's like thinking like a pecking order. So like
She is a shipper.
I wanted Menma to leave so that Yadami would get with you, and that Yukiatsu would be with me at long last.
Like, I just felt so bad for her because she was just like, this is what should happen, but it's not gonna cry.
Once again, though, I can't be totally sympathetic with her just because she's literally like was obviously friends with him and with him like all the time, hanging out with him, before the
Say
series
something.
started. Yeah,
Just
what?
speak.
Yeah, say
Use
how
your
you
words.
feel.
Well, the thing is,
That's
like, she might not have wanted to ruin their friendship if he said no. There's always that chance.
how many times have you
Say
heard
it.
that line before?
Enough.
This
about it,
is
though.
a universal rule of like every show and every movie and every
Love confession.
every TV show, movie, anything ever. It's basically just do what your heart feels and actually tell the person, and that's even if they reject you, that's better than just waiting on it. Like
I mean,
always.
with Korra's sake, it totally destroyed Bolin.
Destruction.
Yeah.
Then he was okay, I guess. But even then, I feel like he's still sad
It's
about
okay.
it.
We got season 2
Yeah,
coming.
well, but better that he gets rejected
Better
and moves
soon.
on than keeps it pent up inside. You know, like being jealous of Mako.
Yeah. Should just Mako.
Let's not bring up Mako again. We all know our feelings on
Mako,
that guy.
Yukiatsu.
Yeah,
Rage.
all the rage. But yeah, I would agree. You know, Sumeri's whole breakdown there in that episode got to me. But then what was really interesting was Popo's, because you had got, like I said, you got hints before. Like, actually, I was rewatching an episode and there was something that they did was very clever that I didn't realize before. In episode 9, Yadomi leaves to go work, I think, and Menma stays and plays with Popo, and they're like playing a game or something. But before that, he's like, "Oh, what should we do?" And she's like writing on the notebook, and he's like, "What should we talk about?" And he sort of gets serious for a second. He's like,
Did you like?
"Did you like ... And then things go away. There was a different line. What was it? It was when they were prepping for the party, and he was like doing something, and he was talking about how, you know, how he always tagged along with the group, and everyone, you know, he didn't have any other friends, so he acted like stupid and silly, you know, in order to get friends, and he was able to hang out with them. But even then, he never did anything. And then he says a line. I'm trying to find it on my sheet.
It's like, now just leave everything to me? Or
Not exactly. It wasn't like. Damn it.
yeesh.
I don't know. Okay, I'll find it later. But you know, his whole I basically what I'm trying to say is by those other lines that had been those earlier episodes, like when he was chanting "Say it, say it, say it," you know, in episode 10 when they were reenacting the scene. You know, I kept on thinking it was going to turn out like, oh, well, maybe he was interested in Menma or somebody too. You know, like to complicate this whole love, you know,
Triangle
quadrangle.
thing.
even
Quadrangle.
further.
Obsessed.
I like
Okay.
quadrangles.
But instead,
Nah, son, he was jealous.
Instead, you get this
Curious.
revelation that, you know, he had seen her die basically and couldn't do anything about it. And that really, if you think about it, he was the most traumatized out of all of them, you know, but he is the one who's the most like happy
Happy-go-lucky.
and or
It's a
seemingly
mask.
happy.
It's a
mask.
mask.
Yeah, although I did, you know, I did find it a little bit strange how he goes on about, like, it makes sense that he would travel the world, you know, to get away from that place. But then the fact that he ends up back there, like, if you really hated it that much, you know, you could go somewhere else.
He can't get away.
I know, well, that's what he says, but I'm just
Well,
saying
it's
that.
the idea
guilty.
you can go wherever you want, but you're still not going to forget what happened that fateful day. It's always going
Yeah.
to come back and haunt you.
Yeah,
So,
here. Okay, I found what I was looking for. It's in episode 10. He's talking about how he had to act stupid to be funny accepted. And he says he could do nothing but watch. And then he repeats that line again, like, nothing but watch. Like, ... And then he goes on to say something funny. But, you
And
know,
then they
hearing
play the
that,
game.
hearing that in context of what happens later, it's obvious how that connects to.
I just felt
what
so
ends up
bad for him
happening.
because he's always been so accepting of the whole fact that Jintan can see Menma. He's like, oh man, I want to see Menma too. That's so cool. Is she here right now? Where is she? Menma.
He's always, like, looking around.
when he's talking, I can't forget what exactly they were talking about, but he kept saying like, it's okay, Menma, you can talk to me and lean on my shoulder. I'm cool and stuff like that. And she's crying because it's like, oh, don't worry about us. And she's like, no, I do want to worry about you guys. And then she's just crying and he doesn't know. And then Jintan's like, stop it, man. Stop.
Oh, that's
Dude,
right.
stop.
And it's just awkward.
He kept on saying, like, Popo was saying, you know, come out and talk to us, you know, say something, do something, blah, blah, blah.
But he was like really supportive, like, hey, we're here for you.
I
Exactly.
know. It's like, it's okay if you don't want to do
Let
that.
me help
It's okay,
you.
let me
know.
help you. I'm here for you. And she's like, I don't know how.
I can't make you see me.
And it
Basically.
was like, because he wants to help so badly. He wants to reconcile for his inaction and just
Yeah.
he can't.
Well,
he just can't.
It sort of turns out that all of them, you know, felt super guilty one way or the other about what happened on that day. You know, so they all were like, you know, Menma will never forgive us for that, and
They'll never.
of course she does because she's Menma and she's purity incarnate.
You were going to say PewDiePie for a second. I'm like, what are you talking about, Alex?
No, definitely not
here.
PewDiePie.
Get out of here.
And there was, like I said, Popo's confession particularly got to me. I think probably the most poignant line I think he said, like, he says something like, the image of her floating away, it never leaves me, and he's like,
It's
tears
like
are
just
streaming
getting
down his
smaller or
face.
something like that, or floating further away. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, man.
Yeah, and then the girls and Yukiatsu all start crying there as well, you know. And you did make a good point. I'm pretty sure if you collected like all of the tears that they shed in that last episode, you could like fill a gallon bucket or
It was
something.
like people cry all the time. It was like really
That
intense crying at all
only
points.
That's pretty much my only problem with the series. The weird, awkward, let me sit in front of you, Jintan, in the
That
first
was
episode.
awkward.
And the
yeah,
Cry
lots
Fest
lots
episode.
of screaming and crying in that
Yeah,
last
the last
episode.
episode.
Other than that, I like it.
It was realistic crying because no one cries nicely. Everyone's always obnoxious when they
So-
cry.
I guess
That's
it just
so- I
went
mean,
on
like-
forever.
Yeah, that's something I do like about One Piece. You notice whenever Oda draws people crying, they're always like, boogers coming out of their nose and like they're welling up, and it's not like the manly cry of like the single tear like you see in Hollywood movies.
Get back in there, tear.
People like freak out when they cry. And I like that in One Piece, and they
Like
do it
when they
in this
make
show.
them ugly when they cry.
Yes.
It's just that they pay attention to that much detail and don't try to make it like beautiful crying. There is no beautiful crying. Everyone looks gross when they cry.
She's
Everyone.
disappearing.
Let the mascara run.
Yeah.
Run down the face.
Well, and what did you guys think of that whole bit where Honoru's like second eyelash or whatever like falls out, and then they all sort of start laughing?
It was a nice distraction. It was natural.
It sort of worked,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I felt it was kind of awkward. Like they're awkwardly laughing, like right after they just cried their hearts out. I know it was
there
supposed to
needed
be there.
something.
Yeah, I understand its purpose, and it doesn't like completely fall on its face, but it did strike me as a little off.
I was
Just
just kind of confused. I was like, wait,
personally.
where'd that come from?
You even get that even in Cowboy Bebop. You remember in the last episode where like
Spoilers.
this isn't really a spoiler, where Spike and Jet are talking about like that story about the tiger striped cat, and then Spike ends it with like, I don't like cats, you know that, and then he's like, oh yeah, that's right, and then they both just sort of start laughing randomly. That
It's
seems
a
to
forced laugh, though,
Yeah.
and I like that because it's crap's about to go down.
Yeah, I suppose you could justify it in that sake, but in this one it was supposed to be like a joyous laugh in the midst of distraughtness. But
Everyone's just hysterical and tired.
yeah.
upset.
Although they do a good job of making you get the feels like midway through that whole bit where they cut back to Menma and she's like getting all weak and stuff. She looks at her hand and she's like, oh no. And of course Jintan runs back and there she is like laying on the ground, like not able to do anything.
Like, oh, hi there.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground.
And I thought that was quite nice how, it sort of showed how Jitan had grown, and that she sort of said her tearful goodbye to him, and he like picks her up and is like, no, now you have to say goodbye to everyone. Everyone loves you. Everyone's waiting to say goodbye. And he runs off. And then, like you said, it's that moment where they finally arrive at the clubhouse, and then suddenly he loses his ability to see Menma, and that's where it's like, oh no, like that's where things really start to go downhill, in a way you didn't really expect them to. Mm-hmm. Thinking about it now, actually, we had brought up that the clubhouse is sort of special, and that she can only write things inside the clubhouse. It's like right as he crosses the line to get in the clubhouse that she disappears from his sight. So I wonder if there's a connection there.
Maybe.
Like
Connections.
the power of that place. Although, and it confused me a little bit. Like I actually had to rewatch episode 11 twice to sort of get some things that were going on. Just because like certain things like the hide and go seek thing, or at the very end when they're talking about like the flowers that we saw that day, those are all things that are just introduced in that episode, rather than like concepts that they build up over
So
time.
do you still think the title is pretentious?
The flower? I don't think it's
Anohana.
pretentious.
You
do you
said
mean?
that when I texted you, like originally, like, "Hey, I'll go on winter break." I watched this thing, and like that sounds pretentious.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a bit of a sappy show, and this is sort of a sappy show,
It is.
but it's in a good way.
Yes.
It's cliche, like something that one of my film professors always said is like every theme and every movie of all time is cliche. It has to be, in order to be a universal message. So, there's
remember what I gave
great
this
things that are
series.
cliche. But yeah, then Menma is apparently still able to talk to Jintan because she says like I'm hiding or whatever. You have to go find me. Go play hide and seek. And then he runs out, and everyone runs out after him. What I didn't quite understand was they show those shots of them in the forest, and they're screaming her name, and you hear her like sort of from far off saying like "You haven't found me" or something to that effect. But she was way back at the clubhouse, so
Maybe it's a mind thing.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
yeah, I didn't quite understand how she was seemingly
Echoing
talking.
her voice.
Yeah, echoing in the forest.
They got a sound system out there in the middle of the woods, obviously.
I guess.
Maybe it was just because, I don't know, maybe she was just saying it to buy time. I don't know.
Yeah.
She was writing notes at that point.
Yeah, but you'd think if she was actually talking from where she was, Jintan would go closer and closer to her voice and eventually find where she was.
Even when she was talking, it was like, I'm playing hide and seek. She was right behind him. He probably could have been like, you're right there.
That's a good point.
Maybe it was just an
maybe
echoey
Jintan's
thing.
just stupid. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, he hasn't been going to school for a while. He might be a little not so
a
smart.
little tipsy.
Tips.
A little not so smart
Yeah,
at all.
and then of course we arrive to the final location, which is of course a single tree upon this beautiful little grassy hill.
With sunrise.
Yes, with the sun rising, where they find the little letters that she wrote.
Which means like they had to be out there like all night.
Yeah, that is a little strange. Although they came and met, it was like the middle of the night. He goes back and grabs her, after having his little conversation. They run there, and then they run out and they're looking in the woods. So maybe it was only for an hour.
Maybe.
By
Even then, that's like 5 a.m.
yeah, well,
They love her.
yeah,
They
this
need
is
to go to bed.
this is the climax of the show. They're not going to be worrying about sleep right now.
No sleep.
But there's something I was going to say, but I forgot what it was. Oh, that's right. I had actually seen this scene, the final scene, before watching this show. I remember I watched this YouTube compilation of like top 5 saddest anime deaths or anime moments or something like that, and I saw it. So I sort of knew what was going to happen, but it was pretty vague in my mind. The same thing actually happened with Angel Beats with the bit where with Otanashi and his little sister, and him like carrying her on that festival of the
And
lights
she
or whatever.
dies right there.
Yep. I also
On his back.
I saw that scene, in that little video as well. But when you're watching it completely out of context, though, it doesn't nearly have the same.
Like, unless you've
impact.
already seen it, which is why the Clannad videos just
Yeah, I
hurt
think
me so much.
The Clannad one was in there as well, actually.
Probably, I would not doubt so.
But like we were saying earlier, it is quite cute to see, Menma's little messages to all of them.
Oh man, I lost
Just like
it.
a little compliment for everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Although some of them, like, with Honoru, how what was the one
Level-headed.
again? Level-headed, right? Sort of a contrast to what she had sort of seemed to be before. But some of them seemed a little like Popo funny. That makes sense. What was Surumi? I'm trying to remember.
Like, she was always, I don't know.
I don't know if she was
forgot.
maybe it was her kindness or something
Maybe
like
I
something
that.
think it was something like that.
And I know with Yukiatsu is hard work,
hardworking.
right? Which is he? I guess he's hardworking.
Okay, the part when they were screaming like "I love you, Menma," when it got to him, I was like, "Stop!"
Well, this is apparently because you hate him.
Yes, I hate him. I don't like him.
Uber hate.
Uber hate. It's like Mako hate.
Oh, the worst type of hate.
The worst type of hate.
Mako hate.
Mako hate is
But
the worst.
but by episode 11 though, he had accepted the whole, it sort of settled things with Yadami a bit. He wasn't being so Menma obsessive.
yeah,
and
but
cruel.
there were 10 episodes prior to that. Remember those?
Yeah,
They're
that's true.
important.
They
He's
are.
a creep.
True.
Like 2 nights ago, he was sniffing wigs.
That is actually kind of true.
Sniffing wax.
I did quite think it was kind of cool how, throughout that, all the bits earlier in that last episode and all the way up to the point until they're finally like talking like with Menma on the hill. What's his name? Actually, I'm trying to think. Maybe even no. Jintan definitely does start crying at that point, but before then he never cries while everyone else is bawling their eyes out. Which as we learn is sort of part of the whole point of his character and the wish and all that. But what did you guys think of? They all read the letters and they're all very sad, and then they are like bring up the hide and go seek thing again. They're like, it's not over until we found you, Menma, and they all start like just screaming, "Where are you?" or
They
something like that.
Said that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that was more of the, it is a sad moment and everything, but I do sort of wonder if the constant screaming and crying does dampen it just a
See,
little.
that's
A
what I
tiny
love.
bit.
That's what I love about anime. They can take a moment like that, which is completely ridiculous if they try to do it in real life. But like, they could do that in anime, and it's fine. Like, they could be screaming in the high heavens, and they'd be like, "Oh man, that's really touching." But if you saw that in like a show, you're like, "Hey, calm down."
Yeah. Well, it's because with live action, you associate that much more with real life than you do with animation.
Right? But that's what I love so much about anime. They can do whatever they want, and it's
Exactly.
awesome.
Anime.
Anime.
Yeah. So yeah, then we get poor little Menma saying, "You found me," and then everyone's suddenly able to see her for
I'm happy
plot
about
convenience
that.
reasons.
I'm happy about that.
Yes, it was quite nice, because obviously, like, there was that whole bit where Jintan was like explaining to Yukiatsu like what she looked like. Does she have long
she
hair?
beautiful?
Is she beautiful? Creepy.
He's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
But you had to sort of realize that was the first time they were all seeing her. So of course they're all like, "Oh, it's Menma. She's real."
Yeah, I like
We're
that
not
though.
crazy.
I'm a real
that,
boy.
That was cool, and then they all have to say, that they love her, and then all scream that they found her, and then she says, "You found me," and fade to white.
Sad.
As you see the sun rising and it's poking through her transparent body, So it was all very sad. Like I said, there were sort of two reasons why I had to rewatch that episode. One, because the site I was watching it on, the one of the, I think it's the ending theme, is playing over that whole exchange, and the site had like the lyrics going on at the top, and that was somehow screwing up with the subtitles on the bottom, because like subtitles on the bottom would appear for like a second and then disappear like before they had finished talking. So I was a little bit confused about some of the dialogue that was going on. But secondly, and this was the thing I wrote the most notes on more than anything else, is just that I was a little bit confused about the whole idea of the wish, because the wish was that that she had to make Yatami cry and make him feel things, basically, that he had sort of become reserved after his mom's, or was becoming more reserved as his mom becomes sick, and even more so after she died and Menma died and all that, But we don't actually see Menma like seriously start disappearing and like getting all sick and stuff until episode 11, which is where all of them are there confessing their stuff, But Jintan doesn't even cry in that scene. He cries a few episodes before
Well, she
that.
hadn't remembered until that point, though.
But I don't think that's the case, though, because I went back to rewatch some episodes to check up on that. Because in episode 8, that's where Anaru, has her whole confession to Jintan, talks about Menma leaving and what he's going to think about that. And later on in the episode, he goes back to his house and is like thinking about that, and then he starts to cry, and he says he makes up some stupid lie about like a book, like about a
TV show.
Yeah. Well, actually, I looked it up. It was actually like a book written like in the 1800s about a dog and a boy, and they both die by the end. So
Hooray.
it's a typical happy story there, But Menma is like comforting him, and she's like touches his hair or something, and she has this little flash memory to like the mom's face. And she like hugs him there, So I think that was actually the moment where she remembered the wish.
But then we actually didn't see the full memory until that point, so it doesn't
Right.
count.
Well, no. It's just not when it's revealed to the audience. Menma knows because
That's all that matters,
I have
though.
evidence for this. It's just you wait. In episode 9, what is it? That's right. This one was a little weird to me. It's after she's playing that game with Popo, and it's got something to do with like matching syllables. And she's like jumping along the road, and she like claps her hands and tries to match them up with the line. And there's this moment where she's all happy-go-lucky, and then she says like has this gasp, and like wind blows through her hair, and she just sort of stares at her hands for a second, and then goes off to being goofy again. But I looked at the frame closely, and her hands are both definitely visible. There's no transparency going on there, but I get the feeling like that was a moment where she was like feeling something of, her gradual disappearance. And it's only later in episode 10, there's 2 times you actually see it. One, at the beginning of the episode, she's praying next to the mom's shrine.
Yep.
There's actually a shot where she's looking at her hands, and if you look closely, you can see like the table through her hand. So you can see she started to sort of lose that, her beingness. And And then later on in the episode, she like wakes up and she looks at her hand and it's see-through again. She says something about, she mentions the mom's name is like, not yet, I can't go yet. I'll be with you soon, Jintan's mom, whatever your name is.
I think she called her auntie.
Right, she did call her auntie.
So overall, I guess, what did you think? Like, if you had to put a number on it, I don't know.
Well, on the show in general or on like the wish
The show
thing, I don't know. I probably would give it.
I mean,
I'd
I
probably
think
give it
I gave it the highest thing out of everybody. Looking back at what I gave it, so
What'd you give it?
I give it a 10 out of 10.
I
I
pro-
was floored.
I'd probably give it a 9. Like I really enjoyed the show. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it was really enjoyable.
It hit
for
my
sure.
emotional chords, so that's what won me over.
I see.
If you really get in a Clannad, you'll hit your emotional chords hit a lot harder.
Oh,
I promise.
that's a challenge. It sounds like.
I
It
saw,
sounds like it.
random episodes of
challenge
that
you.
when it was on Anime on Demand on that channel, but I haven't
watched
seen
that
like all the
that's
way.
where I watched it. And I was like, this is cute, and I didn't know After Story was a continuation. And
I think
was
it's
like,
on Netflix now, so
these
check it out.
These
Yeah.
are the same characters. What is this? And I watched it. I'm like, oh, it's a second season.
I see. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because so basically, how the show seems to work is that she starts disappearing after that episode 8 where Jintan cries like for the first time, but it's just happening slowly over time, and then just coincidentally it happened. She like really starts like losing her body control and stuff at the exact moment when they're all confessing, their feelings for her, basically.
Maybe like she just had to have those like feelings released about her having to like disappear selfishly, or just have them be like, yeah, you need to really pass on right now for reasons for yourself. Like maybe those feelings were just holding her down.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I was sort of thinking of it was like how she said, she loved Jintan, but she loved everyone else too. So, she had fulfilled her wish with Jintan, but she also wanted to make everyone else happy too. So when they all sort of came to terms with their problems, that's when like the full force of it hit her. So that's the best way I can explain it. I don't know if there's an interview with the creators anywhere, but I would like to hear exactly why that is. Because, if the rule was that her wish is granted and she disappears, she should have disappeared right as Jintan was crying in episode 8, but she doesn't.
That couldn't have happened.
You can't end on episode 8 of 11. It
You
doesn't
can't
work
do
that
that.
way. We know.
Really?
We can read the episode numbers.
We can numbers, man.
So yeah, the subtitle issue and the fact that I was the whole time thinking about that issue and like how does this wish whole thing make sense sort of ruined my first experience of watching it. But I've rewatched it twice now, and I got to admit, I rewatched it like a couple hours ago before coming to the podcast, and I was getting a little bit of moisture in the eyes.
Manly tears.
There were some. They weren't full on tears, but there was
Manly tears.
There was definitely some manly tears going on.
Manly whispers of tears.
Whispers of tears, yes. So it did get to me, and honestly, like the confession moment is sad, and obviously when she disappears is sad. But what I really like is just from a storytelling perspective is sort of the little monologue that happens after that, because it's just images of basically what happens afterwards and Jintan voicing it over. But he's talking about the flowers blooming on the roadside, and what was the name of the flower that bloomed that summer? Obviously referring to the summer where they all hung out, back in the day, which is
Yes.
in the title of the show and obviously important. But once again, something that's not brought up until that very last moment, which I personally would have liked to see them build that up a little bit more, because if they had mentioned this flower beforehand, made that metaphor throughout the show have been all the more powerful in the last episode. But he's talking about it. It's basically just a metaphor for that childhood youth and innocence. Basically, he's like saying we'll grow up, but somewhere those flowers will still be blooming, and we'll keep those flowers alive like together forever, or something to that effect. I don't
team.
have the exact quote in front of me, but I really liked that last moment. And you see some cute little things like with Yadomi's giving back Anaru the little cloth that he had been holding on to for a while, and you see Yukiatsu's like talking to what's her name, Sumari I gotta find it again. Surumi. There's an R in there. He's talking to her, on the bus, and you sort of see her like say something snarky, and then she sort of like smiles and giggles behind her little
It's
book.
like, hey, you want some Pocky? And she's like, no, that'll make me fat.
Rocky.
Yeah,
Rocky.
which I thought was kind of cute because that was like the first time we'd seen her like be cutesy and giggly like that. And I did like how you saw Popo at the construction site. And he's got like those books there. So it's like he's actually paying a bit more attention to his education. Which is like
Good boy.
cool.
Good corn dog.
Yeah, actually, I saw somebody post online that the actual flowers that they show in that last sort of monologue are actually forget-me-nots. I'm not a flower person, so I wouldn't know, but
Aren't they blue?
yeah. Well, I think the flowers were blue, so
I don't
that's
know.
probably accurate.
Maybe.
Yeah. I was just finding my quote about the flowers. We basically saying that we'll change as we grow older, but the part that existed back then, the inner child, will always live on. And I think that like one of the last shots in the show is that shot of where Menma made the note on the Super Peace Brigade. Was that what it was?
Super Peace Bastas.
Super Peace Busters, like Super Peace Busters are friends forever. And she added that on next to it. And the last shot is a shot of the diary, and it just says bye bye on it. Just like all the sadness, all the feelings.
Okay,
But-
there's one moment like with the writing, and when she first knocks on the ground, and Popo's like, "Oh man, what's this, guys?" And then
Oh.
Yukiatsu's like, "That's Menma's handwriting." I'm like, you need to calm down.
Some more Yukiatsu bashing on the
So
podcast.
I just thought of that when you were talking about notes, and I'm like, he got really, really intense over that. He must know a lot about what her handwriting looked like.
He's probably gone through their house, like when they're not home, just like
Maybe he just memorized the diary.
Smells her stuff.
Smells her
He
thing.
probably has like a little something that she wrote on. He has like framed on his wall somewhere.
I get
he
a
has the
drawer.
he's got like Hey Arnold, Helga, like
Oh, the shrine.
the shrine to Arnold. Something
I actually thought the
Menma
dress when he first smelled it or whatever, I thought it was actually her dress, and I'm like, oh man, stop.
Oh man, stop! Please stop.
Love of God.
One point I did want to bring up, like there were several themes going throughout the show. Like
Or there now.
yes, indeed, themes about like forgiveness and guilt. Which were obviously playing heavily into their whole relationships with Menma. But the one that personally struck me as the most powerful was like this whole idea of as you grow up, do you change or do you stay the same? Because there's several times where they contradict themselves. Where Jintan's talking about how like we all changed, we all got separated, blah 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 blah, and then he actually goes and hangs out with them and is like, actually they're like just the same as I remember them being, back in the day. And I think
some things mature, but then a lot of things stay the
yeah.
same.
Well, just thinking about it with like my own life, like me and my like closest group of friends, like we're obviously things have changed, but if you were to rewind to like sophomore year of high school versus sophomore year of college, we'd all pretty much have the same personalities. We still would hang out and play video games. There is, I think of it as sort of as almost a paradox, where things do stay the same, but yet they also change so much. So it's like both are
Yeah.
truths,
It's definitely some of both.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Any thoughts on that, Matt?
Nope.
Some deep meanings behind the show relating to your own life?
I mean, it can be sad.
It can be sad. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my connection with it, you mentioned the whole friendship, breaking apart, or, like, not necessarily breaking apart, but, the idea of friendship. And one thing, that wasn't necessarily for something I focused on. Like I said, I focused on all the little things that brought me, like, oh, that was my childhood. I was more brought on the childhood aspect of what they were looking, so.
Yeah, well, but I do think the childhood aspect is something that grabs you because, like, when you see those scenes in the opening, of them looking and seeing their younger selves like playing around and stuff, you're like, heartstrings. That's me.
My feels.
Because once again, talk about universal themes. That's something everyone can certainly sympathize with. Is the change from childhood to adulthood and the yearning for that time of innocence and fun and all that. Lack of responsibility and everything.
Just like dabbling into a little bit of personal life over here, but like I like that about this and how they constantly refer to the past and like how things used to be and people changing. It's like I really enjoy just reflecting on my own past and just remembering things and wishing I could do it again because it was just so great. Just like my friends and I would write stories together, and I just wish I can go back and like just have those brainstorm sessions again, or just have those inside jokes and have it go back to before Summer destroyed everything and I lost everyone. And just, I wish I can go back in time and just change everything. Mm-hmm. But then you can't because time doesn't work that way yet.
Time is a line.
Yet. I like how you said yet.
There will be time travel, and it's going to mess with everything, and we're all going to die.
Hooray.
But then we're going to have like a backup time machine so we can go back before we actually use the original time machine and break it.
So basically the time machine's going to ruin our lives, so we're going to destroy it.
Yes. Well, the thing is, like, we have the time machine. We have 2 time machines. One is a backup time machine for if we ruin everything, and then the other time machine is for actually going back and trying not to ruin things, but then accidentally ruining things.
You would like Steins Gate because it's all about time travel.
Yeah.
It's like, there are always shows like, I'm going to do stuff and go back in time, and it'll save the future. Yeah, but then it ruins everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's something I was thinking about with the girl who leapt through time, because the character who's a time traveler in that show, sort of apparently, according to him, in the future, everybody has these little time travel devices. That sort of makes me think, like, if every like citizen has access to a time travel device, wouldn't like the timeline be completely screwed up?
Destroyed.
Like, even just having one time machine's bad enough, but having like millions
Everyone
of them.
having-
Madoka Magica told us what happens when you meddle with time.
Don't
Yes.
do it.
You put burdens on people who don't need to have burdens on them. Hamura. But
Yeah, you
it
learned
was
your
all
lesson,
it
didn't
was
you?
all in good intention though. It wasn't like on purpose.
I'd agree.
We didn't know what the consequences were, and then Cuba's like, "Oh wait, I figured it out."
Yeah, well, it's
Wanna
because
make a contract?
Madoka Magica is a show where, you know, the more you try to fight fate, the worse it gets, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Then in the end, we kick Fate's butt.
that's right. Madoka's just like, troll powers activate, would you?
Pretty much, because she completely eliminates the fact of her ever becoming a witch ever, and Cuba is like, "Oh man."
Right, well, the thing is,
I was counting on that.
she becomes a witch, but then she simultaneously destroys her own witch, creating a paradox where she doesn't exist.
Genius.
What
Yeah.
happens at the end of the show.
Thus, best ending ever. Not really.
Pretty good.
Well,
Well, I mean, it's a really good ending, but it's just so bittersweet that I just can't bring myself to love it.
But that's what makes it great.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just so mad at it.
I think it's like the best I could do.
Where's the happy? Why can't everyone just be happy? Because Hamura's not happy because her best friend, potential girlfriend, isn't there.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that remembers her, even the little brother does, but not really.
Yeah.
And he'll just remember.
And he'll just forget eventually.
Yeah, well, that's something I find interesting in both. This is going back to away from Madoka Magica, back to Anohana and like Angel Beats. Both of them, you know, have these super sad endings, but in both cases, the characters passing on, you know, to be reincarnated is a good thing and what everyone's been striving for and what you know is right for that character. But it's just the fact that they're disappearing, you know, and the fact that they won't be there with that the other character anymore. That's what makes it so sad.
That's what hits you.
Even though it's not nearly as sad as like a real character death, like in a show where the character dies and there's no coming back. You
Well,
know?
like, then it's final. It's like, in this one, it's like you don't know what's going to happen because you're already dead and now we're kind of into purgatory. But what happens when you truly pass on? Are you reincarnated? Do you go to hell? What is this?
Right.
What's going on? Am I going to be a water flea? Am I going to be a kitten? I would love to be a
Yeah.
kitten.
Well, I think she said like, I don't want to be a caterpillar when I get reincarnated, but
that was
hopefully that
adorable.
won't happen or something
Yeah.
to that effect.
She should totally be a kitten.
So, overall thoughts on the show. Matt and I have sort of said what we thought. Like I said, I really did enjoy the show. It's got some great characters. Animation is nice. Music, none of the music ever really
comes out at you,
Yeah.
other than like the opening.
Yeah, the opening and the ending are both good, but the actual music itself, it supports the show well, but none of it was particularly remarkable, I'd say. But this show definitely lived up to its reputation for making people cry. You know, all the feels. So, good job to A1 Pictures for that. Good show.
Let's hope the movie's the same.
Hopes.
I don't know, Clara, Gretchen, your guys' overall thoughts.
I think, yeah,
Did
what
you
you
like
said.
Angel Beats more? No, you don't have to answer that question.
No, but stuff with the wish, like you said, was a little bit confusing and how that worked. But overall, I really liked it.
Well, to kind of sort of answer Matt's unanswered question,
You don't have to answer it. I'm
I know,
trolling.
but I
Man.
want-
The
I
troll
want-
trades here.
I want to talk about it. There are things in Angel Beats that I really, really do love. There are things that could have been better. There was a lot of potential for the show, but it kind of flopped a little bit. but there were things that I truly loved about it. And Anohana resolves everything, and it does it in a very short amount of time, which I like, instead of completely dragging it out and making it obnoxious. Cough,
But
Naruto.
Angel
But-
Beats didn't do that either because it was.
I know, but at the same time, they didn't.
Like I said, I probably should give Angel Beats a second chance.
Yes, you should.
In a
Yep.
year or so.
And Clannad. And,
In a year.
but like,
I'll try.
I don't know.
Clannad.
Anohana just, it wrapped everything up a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I'd
like,
say
there were less plot holes.
Yeah, Anohana has less flaws because Angel Beats is great for what it is, but it does sort of jump around.
I just
a
remember
bit.
one point in Angel Beats where it's like, oh, hey, we've all been thinking, like, there's a huge crowd of people in the hallway, and it's like, oh, hey, we've been thinking, and we're going to pass on now. Okay, bye. Everyone just leaves. I'm like, well, that was anticlimactic.
Well, but they're like basically let's get rid of all the minor characters that no one
I
cares
know,
about.
but it's like all at the one time.
Yep.
It could have like just been like the band members be like, hey, we're all gonna go now. I would have been fine with that, and then just assume everyone else left, or like made a note saying like, soon everyone left one by one, just not like all at the same time, just gone.
Kaboom. All right.
There wasn't even like a noise. It was just gone.
Yeah. Well, I talked about how I actually like that.
Like
in-
I like
on the
it,
Angel
but
Beats
then it's just
episode,
like
but-
eerie at the same time.
Well, it's supposed to sort of be. You know,
It's like,
not-
oh, they're just all of a sudden stopped existing.
So you would rather have it be like Naruto where they just disappear in a puff of smoke?
No, not that obnoxious. Just like maybe like a noise or like a wind of some sort to like have that like lack of presence. And like, because there's someone there, and then if all of a sudden someone's not there, something's gonna get affected by that. Like if I just disappeared, my headphones would fall on the ground, and you'd be like, wait,
True.
what? But
Well, but you do get that where the one chick disappeared and her guitar fell.
right, but she was holding a guitar. Everyone else was just standing in the hallway, not affecting anything.
True.
So it was like there wasn't much to be done. But I really liked Anohana. I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, oh my god, she's really annoying. Make her stop being annoying. But then the next episodes, Menma was
obvious.
not
She gets
annoying.
better.
I was
Exactly.
really worried that I was going to hate her, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to hate
Yeah.
this.
Yep,
It's cute,
so-
but it's annoying.
Good show.
Good show.
Talking real quick about what we're going to do for next time. Clara's got Pokemon Heroes,
Yes.
which we've been wanting to do. So what I'm sort of thinking
Yes.
is, thank you, Matt.
Yes.
I'm thinking let's plan on doing that as a movie night for next week.
Okay.
And then for the week after that, we can plan on some sort of 25 episode show. I'm thinking that gives us 2
Wait.
weeks to watch it.
Are you going to the Jim Gaffigan thing?
Is
That's
that
on a Thursday.
That's next Thursday. Okay.
It's no, not
Oh,
next. The one
jealous.
Thursday after that.
So not next Thursday, but two
Thursdays from now.
Thursdays from now. Okay. I am actually going to
I
that.
saw
I
that
know
today.
Mark and a whole bunch of other people are. So
Samesies.
maybe we'll
Jim
we might have
Gaffigan's
to
coming to our school. Ha 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 ha.
jealous.
we might have to reschedule the podcast that week or just not do one. We'll see on that. But
Maybe.
whatever the next podcast may be, I think I was thinking either Toradora or Steins Gate.
I'm up for Steins Gate.
I think we've been talking about Steins Gate for such a long time. I think it's about time we settle down and do it.
Sailing ships.
All right.
That's what I'm good
Sounds
with.
good to you, Gretchen?
I don't know anything about it, but sure.
Toradora?
It's a time travel. No, Steins Gate.
Oh, Steins Gate.
Yeah. We just did a romantic comedy show with Anohana, so I think it'd be good to do a nice plotty show like Steins Gate.
Woo!
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So for those of you who enjoyed listening to us, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on
So,
Twitter at techheadsoU.
Are we watching Pokemon this weekend?
Yes.
Or
Yes. We're walking.
When?
Well, I'll
We'll
talk
cover
about
that
that
later.
afterwards because we're
Okay.
about to run out of time. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It's all good. What would you like to say, Matt?
Hurry, Alex, hurry. There's
Oh,
not
okay.
much more time.
I thought you were going to say you actually had a
Big
Twitter
man, big
finally. Like you had a
No.
big announcement to make.
Riding
Yeah.
out cars.
Techheads.me.
Is that the new website?
Yes,
Yes.
Techheads.
Okay,
Cool.
yeah. So you can
We
go
have
to
blogs.
Yeah, go to techheads.me instead of used to be avwproductions.com. Now we've got techheads.me at actual blogspot
It looks
page.
awesome.
It is much nicer
Eric's
than
done
the
a
old
great job
blog.
with it.
My
Yes.
blog's the first one right now.
So look
Bloop,
forward to
bloop,
that.
bloop, bloop.
And thank you for listening to this episode 30 of Shred Cells.
Man, we're old.
I know, we've made it 30 episodes, guys. This is a landmark. We're going to have to do something special for episode 50. That won't be until next year, probably, but we're going to have to do something special for
Yeah,
that
we've
one.
done about
Something
like
epic.
17 right now. I mean,
Yeah,
since this year started. I
Now we've
believe.
done more like 20 because we were at episode 10 at the beginning of this year.
That's all
Dang.
right.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Pretty cool. So thank you guys all for being here, helping me with the podcast. And we will see you all next week when we talk about Pokemon Heroes.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Pokemon.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2012.